The Bruins managed just 16 shots in a 2-0 loss to the Capitals last night. They still have a 1-point lead over Florida for the division title heading into tonight's regular season finale against Ottawa at TD Garden. Judd Surratt and Bob Beers will have Duncan pregame at 6:30. Face-off at 7 here on the Sports Hub and the New England Honda Dealers Bruins Radio Network. If the Bees win the division, they'll play Tampa in the first round of the playoffs. If the Panthers catch them, Boston plays Toronto. The Oilers' Connor McDavid last night became the fourth player in NHL history to reach 100 assists in a season. Some guys named Gretzky, Lemieux, and Orr are also on that list. Red Sox also struggled offensively yesterday. They notched just 3 hits in a 6-0 loss to Cleveland. They also lost Tyler O'Neill in the 8th inning after he collided with Rafael Devers chasing a fly ball. O'Neill got 8 stitches in his forehead. Both he and Devers will also be checked for concussions. Game 2 of that series is tonight. Day after they hosted Michigan quarterback J.J. McCarthy for a visit, the Patriots are doing the same for Washington quarterback Michael Penix today. Adrian Wojnarowski reporting USA Basketball finalizing its roster for the Summer Olympics in Paris. The team will include Jason Tatum and Drew Holiday. NBA's Western Conference play-in tournament starts tonight. Lakers at the Pelicans, Golden State visiting Sacramento. And as expected, the Indiana Fever took Iowa's Caitlin Clark as the first overall pick in the WNBA draft last night. Sports Hub headlines brought to you by Eastern Mass's leader in drain cleaning and pipelining. Drains by James. Slow drain, clog drain. Contact Drains by James today at drainsbyjames.com. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. We got more headlines in 30 minutes.
This is Charlie McAvoy.
High slot, McAvoy. Oh, check. McAvoy.
And you're listening to the home of the Bruins.
McAvoy coming from deep in his own zone. Backhand. He's McAvoy.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
It's called rising and grinding.
Start your
Got your finger on the pulse, Fred.
Begin your
Seldom right and never wrong.
right here. Is that Dutcher or is that Hardy?
I know, looks like a poodle. It's an effing poodle, dumbass.
The Sports Hub.
Fred, hello. 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 Mm-hmm. Hello. 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 Hello.
He's naked. He has a sword.
Let's talk about cheese.
Bruins are back from the West Coast.
What the
Is it okay to use this for the radio?
Welcome to the show, you sweet bitch.
Hey, happy Tuesday.
It is Toucher and Hardy with no Fred and no Wallach. The children rejoiced. Paul Perillo in this morning. Hi, Paul.
Speaking of children,
Yeah.
I'm here.
Ryan Johnston is here. Adam 12's going to be here later. And the rest of... Oh, actually, Lockhart's out. All right, now that we know everyone's here and everyone is not here, now we can move along with things. Paul Perillo walked in this morning into our pre-show meeting. And what did you say, Paul? Something about the difference?
Yeah, there's a difference between being awake at 6 a.m. and being up at 6 a.m. I would say I was awake
Yes.
most every day at this time, but it's a big difference between, getting yourself up, showered, and to work.
Showered.
What a rookie.
Oh, you are adorable.
I love how both of you just laughed at the same time.
I haven't showered since Saturday.
We know.
Personal hygiene takes a back seat in this job.
Yeah, so I was wondering, what time do you guys typically go to bed? What time do you retire the evening prior?
It depends on, obviously, like games that are on that I actually want to watch. It's like,
Right.
oh, do you have to watch the game? And I always reply with, well, I don't always, but the answer is I actually enjoy sports, so I want to watch games. Like I wanted to watch the end of that Bruins game.
Yeah,
last
I watched
night.
the end of the Bruins game, but then
Yeah.
I was thinking beforehand, and I'll probably watch the third period here and call it a day, and I didn't.
No,
I was up until about
I
11:30. At the beginning of the game, I wanted to watch the end of the Bruins game. By about the middle of the second period, I decided I didn't really want to watch the end of that Bruins game, but I made
Those
it
four
to the
shots
end.
on goals for the first 30 minutes weren't doing it for you,
I
right?
like it better when they try and score.
Yeah.
the Bruins.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. I find that to be
Do
a more
you
enjoyable
enjoy
game.
when more than 2 forwards have shots on goal in a game? Because
Do you enjoy throwing up every 5 minutes, Claude? Yeah. So I would say on average, I retire sometime between 10 and 10:30.
Okay. So I wasn't too much off.
And the alarm goes off at 4:30, which wakes me up, I would say, 60% of the time. The other 40% I get up before the alarm.
Yeah, well, I needed no alarm because I've turned into my father in my advanced age now.
Yeah.
I'm just up all the time.
That's not good.
No.
Is
It's
it
not.
is it the prostate? Is it you got a pee-pee?
You'll have a procedure.
Yeah.
No, it's not that. I just generally wake up and I lay around, and
Okay.
it's like I said, it's the difference between being awake
It's
and up and out of bed.
It is probably the most the most wrong I've been about any aspect of this job when we're talking about it in the abstract. Like, I'm a morning person anyway, and I have been ever since I was a little kid. I love getting up early and being the first one up, doing all that stuff. Huge difference between getting up at 5:30 or 6 or 6:30, which I used to think was early, and it was for a 10 a.m. show. Like, you don't have to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning, but I would get up, and you have your coffee, and you take the dog out, and you watch the news, and you sit.
Yeah, nice relaxing morning.
You sit, and then you take the dog for a walk a little bit later, and then you get some breakfast, and then you take a shower, and then you go to work. This is up and out the door in 15 minutes. This is different. I don't like it.
I don't know.
Huge mistake.
Didn't care for it.
Nope, not good. All right, so how'd you spend your marathon Monday, Paul?
Well, I worked.
Down
The
at
Patriots don't have Patriots Day off yet.
Yes. One of the great ironies in life.
Correct.
What do you need?
Well, there are no days
Oh,
off.
you want me to do this? Thank you. Sorry. Toucher and Hardy brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. All right, so you were down at Gillette yesterday.
I was. I mean, nothing, too earth-shattering going on down there.
Did you have lunch with McCarthy or anything?
Well, I missed my meeting with Gerard. But no, it was just a normal work day in Foxborough. I did get to see the owner briefly. Got to say hello to RKK, which is always nice. He was shooting something in the TV studio, but he was in and out. And that was about it. Just a regular day. Worked on some notes that'll be posted, probably a couple hours.
Okay. And are you guys like all just giddy with anticipation for this draft?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a lot of enthusiasm with regard to the draft. And
Enthusiasms.
Enthusiasms. What am I? The number 3 overall pick. So I do think there's a lot of anticipation for that, and I think it still kind of centers on quarterback. And this is what I sort of wrote about. The J.J. McCarthy thing still kind of has me flummoxed. Like, I do not know exactly how to take it, but I still don't think I'm taking it overly seriously.
Yeah.
I think that this might be it might be as simple as Jim Harbaugh, who's like really hell-bent on getting J.J. McCarthy to be that 4th guy in the top 4 picks to give him the pick of the litter, for everybody else.
Yeah.
I don't know that to be the case, but that's kind of my theory that I ran with. That's what I worked on yesterday. Just,
okay.
The Chargers sit at 5, and everybody believes the top 3, Williams, Daniels, May, are going to go in some order. Well, Daniels and May in some order. And then if you can get Arizona to take J.J. McCarthy, or somebody to go up and get into Arizona's spot and take J.J. McCarthy, based on all of this hype that I think Harbaugh started by calling him the best quarterback in the draft. He's going to have the best career out of these guys. I think he's trying to entice someone to say, if we want this guy, we can't wait at 11. We got to go up and get him. And that way he gets to pick whatever he wants at 5.
And there's
out of all the other position players.
Yeah, I think it's fair in a lot of ways to get caught up in what Jim Harbaugh has to say. Fred has been in here for weeks talking about, like people I know in Michigan and the people who watch, Wolverine football all season long, blah, blah, blah. They said, wait till this guy's pro day, wait till this, wait till that. And there's no pushing back on Fred on certain things.
No.
And this is one of them where I said, yeah, just like anyone at Alabama would have told you Mac Jones
It's
is going
exactly
to be
what
the
happened with
second
Mac
coming.
Jones.
Yeah.
Now,
and-
I think it's unfair to McCarthy, and I know my buddy Jim Murray loves to call McCarthy Midwest Mac. There's really no comparison with the two skill sets. McCarthy's far more skilled and athletic. His toolbox is much bigger than Mac's. But the similarities between their end-of-season status as opposed to the pre-draft run-up status is very similar. Mac Jones was considered a second-round pick when the season ended, and I think the same of McCarthy. And now all of a sudden, if you remember in 21, some people thought that San Francisco and Shanahan were going to take Mac Jones at 3, and that's the way you're hearing about McCarthy now.
Here's my theory on Harbaugh and McCarthy. Not only is Harbaugh hoping that McCarthy can go high in the draft because it makes him look good because he was his coach and help mold this kid, he's also trying to goad Sean Payton into taking him in Denver so he can play against him twice a year.
Oh, I should have thrown that in.
Yeah.
I should have talked to you first.
Edit. It hasn't gone to print yet.
Yeah, I can't write on my phone like some can. Some can do that.
You have a computing machine right in front of you.
I have a computing machine, but I can't log on to that. How do I do this?
I'll get you logged on.
All right.
I'll get it. And then you can just say, what would you call Ryan Johnston in the abstract? You wouldn't name him as a source.
According to those familiar with the situation,
Is
that a little too?
yeah.
Hey, I am familiar with the situation.
One analyst. How about that?
Okay. I mean, one analyst went so far as to say,
Yeah, I think it's a great theory. I also think, and I guess this was my original point, I wouldn't fault anybody for falling in love with what Jim Harbaugh had to say. He just won a national championship. He's now coaching an NFL team. He's not a dummy.
and he
even
has
if he
NFL
does-
experience too,
Yeah.
so that carries some weight.
Right.
How
He
much
knows
credit
what
does
it
he really
takes.
get for the national championship? He coached like a third of the season.
But if you do look
I'm
at
not
it,
giving
I
any
mean,
credit to that guy who, absolutely lost his mind after he won the first game that he got plugged in for Harbaugh. Who was the
the
assistant
guy was
there?
trying and dropped the F-bomb on ESPN.
These effing guys are so effing good. Show the effing well.
And ironically, that game that they won was Penn State,
Yeah.
right? And that was the game I believe McCarthy threw 7 or 8 passes. That's the game that I'm out on him. Because of it, first of all, I think the Big Ten is wildly overrated. I think people talk about the Big Ten.
Not as much as it used to be. I think any
it's-
discussion
There's
of
two teams that are relevant. Two.
Ohio State and Michigan.
State and Michigan.
Yes.
And I think if you go back, 5, 6, 7 years, you have a better case, Hardy, because your boys, were pretty good. Michigan State could play with people. Penn State, I think, can compete. But did they ever win in any of those games against Ohio State or Michigan?
No, and then you've got like a team like Iowa that plays in the Big Ten title game every year, and they score. They might be able to score in double figures.
Right.
Well, and I guess more to the point would be once whoever led the Big Ten or whoever won the Big Ten and then made it through the gauntlet and got to play Alabama or Georgia or LSU, any SEC team in a playoff game, they got their teeth kicked in.
Yeah, I will
Until
now say Ohio State and Michigan have improved to the point where they can compete with anybody.
They can
so
can
in
play
that
with
regard,
those
I
SEC
understand what your
teams.
point
Yeah,
is about
yeah.
the Big Ten. Whereas even back they might have had 4 or 5 teams that were good, but none that were really good enough.
Yeah.
But like I just hear a lot of hatred toward the ACC, and I would agree. I think it's a very mediocre conference, the
Yeah.
ACC. So I look at a league like that, and I don't think it's all that different than the Big Ten. I don't take all the points off of Drake May that I wouldn't do the same for McCarthy, because I just don't think, and Ryan just talked about it, basically the second best team, the team in the championship game, I shouldn't say the second best team because it's really like the third or fourth best team. Iowa has been irrelevant nationally. But you look at their record every year, they go like 9-3, 10-3.
Sure.
They can't score.
Yeah.
They physically cannot score any points. That's the championship game every year. Iowa on the other side of that bracket. It's just a very average league.
And I guess to bring it back to McCarthy just for a moment, I saw one report, one analyst who mentioned and used the word passenger when talking about McCarthy and how, boy, you really don't want someone who's going to be a passenger on a really, on a championship team or on a playoff contending team. And that is going to, ruffle the feathers of a lot of people who said he was more than that at Michigan. And of course, you need to have all pistons firing on a team to win a national championship. However, he's not the reason they won.
Right. It's another one of my Paulisms. He was the quarterback for a team that won the national championship. He's not a national championship winning quarterback.
Ooh,
there's a difference.
I like that. How about that sports in the opening segment? Right?
Not sure how the people are going to feel about that.
Oh, they're going to hate it. We're going to get eviscerated.
We can get to Jaws. We can hit all our staples.
I didn't even ask.
Play the hits.
I didn't even ask what Ryan did for the marathon yesterday. You were here until
I was
10.
here until 10, then went home and regular Monday.
Yeah, it's kind of not a thing. I don't know. You didn't go downtown?
No,
didn't near the finish line.
No, and not a lot of runners passed by my house up in Dracut, so I was out there looking for them, but nobody.
Did you guys ever have any marathon memories? Not necessarily running, obviously, because I know you don't run, Hardy.
No,
right? I don't run either. I'm not casting aspersions.
What marathon?
But did you ever go to it or hang out when you were in your younger days?
Yeah. I mean, 20 years ago. I mean, I've been here for 20 years. I've been, I've had something to do with it every year since I've lived here. It's all right.
Yeah.
We told him yesterday.
His biggest memory of the marathon was yesterday being at the starting line.
The starting line was cool.
I have an influencer.
Yeah,
I have to say,
an influencer. We'll get to that later.
Now, I don't necessarily want to do it again, but the starting line was a different perspective.
Well, congratulations. It's a multi-year deal. So,
well, if it falls during spring vacation again next year, maybe it's my turn to take that week off and take the kids somewhere. But no, the only other memory I had was Adam 12 was going to be with us later when he and I were working at WBCN. And I told this story yesterday. They gave us a video iPod to give away at the marathon, at the finish line. We were broadcasting from some bar or something down there. I'm like, how am I supposed to give this away? People aren't going to sign up and stick around. I said, do whatever you want. So I went out about 200 yards from the finish line and dangled it over the railing and was trying to give it to anybody who would quit 200 yards from the finish. But they were brand new. These things were... they were gold. You couldn't get them, and everybody wanted one of these video iPods. Turns out that's the last thing anybody wanted. I don't even know what you could do with them, but it was, oh, my God, iPod, which everybody had and wanted. This one has video. For what? I don't know, but I want it. And I finally settled for somebody who gave me his race bib instead. And I think maybe... No, he didn't give us the medal. He gave us the race bib. That was it. And we hung it up in the studio. But I don't know. But that's a marathon. It's great for the people who do it. My memories of it as a spectator, who cares? Because that's all I've ever been. Somebody who watches.
My memories of it were as an editorial assistant in the Herald Sports Department, in the early 90s before the full-on computer age. It's not a fun day.
Oh, no.
It's not a fun day.
Oh, no. This is a lot of information.
There's a lot of agate being inputted. And usually my mornings would start, because back in those days, I used to coach baseball at Wellesley High. I was the JV baseball coach at Wellesley High.
Ooh.
Well, where does the marathon go through, idiot? Wellesley. So it was always Indy 500 getting out of there fast enough. You didn't get caught up in all the marathon.
I was with Paul at a golf course, and some, not kid, not some guy, some grown-ass man come
at your golf club.
Yeah, comes across the way there to say, Coach! And, this is a grown man, borderline old man. Who walks
He was
over.
that much taller than me when he played, too.
And he says, Coach! And he recognized Perillo as being you were his high school coach?
I was his high school coach,
okay.
About JV.
And it turns out you were only a couple years older than him when you were coaching.
Probably, because I was in my early 20s.
Yeah.
I would have thought maybe he got mistaken for Craig T. Nelson.
Oh, that would have been fun.
It was, that was Brad Godfrey.
Yeah, of course.
I remember
Brad.
Of course.
All right, we'll find out what...
kid, good shortstop, good stick. Not as good a stick as he thought he had, but he was good player.
And you let him know every single day.
Of course I did.
We'll find out what happened last night when we return here on Toucher and Hardy with Paul Perillo and Ryan Johnston on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Dunkin' just released a new energy drink called Sparked. Totally revitalizing with caffeine, vitamins, minerals, available in 2. It's Toucher and Hardy. Paul Perillo, Ryan Johnston here. And as is the custom, the man in the two chair today, Paul Perillo, will tell us what happened last night. Paul, what do you have for us?
Well, the Bruins lost. That was tough. two zip, right?
Oh, no, you have to have the whole thing planned. You need the sound and you need the where's your copy?
Well, the Bruins were in Washington last night taking on the Capitals. Desperate Capitals team looking to qualify for the postseason.
See, this was going to be a joke that Ryan and I played, and now he's actually doing it. Now it's not funny. If he's actually going to be able to do it off the top of his head.
I have skill? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, damn it. All right.
Okay. Carlson feeds to the far side. Wanted to drop into the rush. He's got it up top. He scores. Little traffic out in front. And it's blasted low just inside the near post. And John Carlson makes it 1-0 Capitals.
That was 12 minutes into the game, and that was all that they needed.
I was going to say, if you were looking for offense, you didn't get any more.
That's the game.
Game over right there.
I believe the Bruins recorded their 10th shot on goal with 16 minutes to go in the game.
They ended up with 16 total shots on goal. They attempted in the entire game 38 shots. Washington attempted 62. That is a team that is desperate to make the playoffs, playing against a team that is decidedly not desperate last night. They looked like a team that didn't have a lot to play for, despite the fact that they are still playing for the division title.
Okay, but it kind of looks like a team that may not want to play Tampa in the first round.
Okay, so that I got to go to Ryan here. What happens on a tie?
Florida will win the tiebreaker.
So the first tiebreaker is the wins, not the head-to-head?
It's regulation wins.
Okay.
So Florida's got that tiebreaker in their pocket already. So the Bruins have a 1-point lead on over Florida. The Panthers play Toronto tonight in their last game. The Bruins play Ottawa tonight. If the Bruins win or if Florida loses in regulation, Bruins are guaranteed the first spot in the Atlantic, and that means they play Tampa. If Florida manages to tie them or leapfrog them, then you get Toronto in the first round.
Okay. Now, we talked about this a little bit before. What you really don't want is to be the team that Toronto finally figures it out against, especially the Bruins, because they've had their number for so long. Having said that, forgetting about the history and the egg on your face and the embarrassment of losing to the Maple Leafs in the first round, which of those two teams would you rather have the Bruins face in the first round?
It's Toronto. It's guaranteed Toronto. Their defense and goaltending in Toronto is always a question mark. I think they're a much better opponent than a battle-tested team with one of the best goalies in the league. I mean, just look at the guy. As great as Austin Matthews is, as great as Nylander and Marner are, you still don't really have an excellent goaltender who's going to win a series for you for that team. And that has been their problem for years now. With Tampa, Vasilevsky can single-handedly win you a series. And, oh, by the way, you've also got some pretty damn good talent at the top end there, too.
Yeah, and that's a playoff team. That's a team that doesn't worry what's going on during the regular season. A couple of years ago, they did that whole thing with the long-term IR because they knew that the 82-game season was a mere speed bump on the way to the playoffs.
Right.
That's a team that gears itself. Now, I'm not telling you they're going to win the Stanley Cup, but I'm also not going to tell you I'm going to be surprised if they end up in the Stanley Cup.
I mentioned it yesterday, and it's something that on the hockey show I've been asking Billy Jaffe when we go around the NHL periodically throughout the year. Tampa's just kind of treading water at the bottom of the playoff picture. Are they going to, do this again? Are they sleepwalking through the regular season? They're 14-4-2 in their last 20 games since the beginning of March. Right? They are now playing the hockey that they need to play going into the playoffs.
Talent. And and their better players are also, big. They can be like Victor Hedman's a moose. They're built for the postseason. That's a team that sort of is ready for that grind of the four series. I don't want to play Tampa. I'm with Ryan. Give me Toronto all day.
And maybe this is old news to everybody else, but I wasn't really considering it until this morning. Is there a chance the Bruins are just, of course we're trying to win the game. But if we don't, guys, if we don't win, if we don't get out there and beat the Capitals tonight or get a win
Senators.
No, I'm saying last
night.
Yeah, in the rorom. I'm taking us back in time into the room before the game last night.
So behind the B.
We don't beat the Caps tonight or the Senators tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Hey, we end up losing the top spot, and who would we play? Oh, Toronto instead of Tampa. So guys, let's get out there.
A team that you dominated this year in Toronto, or a team that you went 1-3 against this year in Tampa, and is a perennial Stanley Cup favorite team. And listen, I'm not saying that they might not find a way to. Rest up Pasternak, Marchand, McAvoy tonight. Given that the playoffs start on Saturday, given the way that the regular season number 82 went last year, and you wound up limping into the first round of the playoff, I'm not sure they necessarily go all out tonight.
See, that would be obvious though if you are resting guys. It looks like you're trying to lose. So they played all those guys. The only way to accomplish the same thing would be to play all those guys and then only take like 12 shots on goal.
Tough to score if you don't shoot.
Oh.
It's hard to shoot if you don't have the puck. Right. Seemed like the other team had the puck the whole game.
Who was it, Beecher, that skated away from the
pass?
Away from the pass when they were going through the neutral zone last night?
I thought Brick was going to fall out of the booth on that. It's like, I don't know. He just suddenly veered off to the left. I don't really know why.
It's so strange. He skated out of the passing lane as the pass was already on its way to him.
Yeah.
Here's Jim Montgomery's take on last night.
I thought they played with a lot of desperation. I thought their checking skills were good. I thought they managed the puck well. I didn't think we were at their level. All in all, I didn't think we were willing enough to work hard enough to create offense against a team that protects the middle of the ice.
They do, and they did, and I wonder if maybe the Bruins are okay with that, just based on...
It'll be interesting to watch the Ottawa game.
Yeah.
Because I think the stuff that Montgomery said there is true. I thought Washington did play a very... high-intensity physical game last night. They were throwing bodies around. And I thought the Bruins, to be honest, I thought they met the physical challenge. They didn't play well. They never possessed the puck. They couldn't put two passes together, and so many turnovers in the offensive zone.
Right.
I thought they had opportunities to get something set up and were just sloppy with the puck.
So I pulled up I wanted to see where the shots came from last night.
Yeah, a lot of flips from the blue line.
No, I mean just players. So Pasternak had 5 out of the 16 shots.
It's a lot.
Beecher had 2. Maroon had 1. Lauko had 1. None of the other forwards even had a shot.
Oh, come on.
You had Brandon Carlo, Parker Wotherspoon, Andrew Peeke, and Charlie McAvoy accounting for like half your shots on your team.
Speaking of that, do we have an update on Carlo?
Have not seen one as of yet.
That would not be good. They can't afford to lose one of their top 4 defensemen.
No, they can't. Especially when I'm not saying he's necessarily the guy you need stand guys up at the blue line in the playoffs, and he's a bruiser. But you can't afford to be without him either. What have you seen out of Maroon so far?
Guy who's trying to get up to speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought there were a couple of sequences last night where you saw the big body, sort of behind the net.
I like to see him engaged.
The one off the shot that Ryan's talking about came right off a face-off in the third period, which was a decent bid, but it's going to be a while.
Okay. They were working him out on the power play on one of the power play units yesterday. They didn't get a power play last night. So he did get a little run when they were 6-on-5, which is basically kind of a power play unit out there. But yeah, they want to give him a look in front of the net on the power play, kind of like they were using Brazo on that second power play unit.
Yeah, you didn't get a chance to assess the power play at all last night, and the PK only once, as there was one penalty called in that game.
Given the way that this team's going on the power play right now, no power play opportunities, not that bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't have changed the score, but the fact that the whistle blew once on a penalty last night was a tripping against Shattenkirk, I think, in the third. Yeah, that was it. So, all right, one more game tonight. We'll get to the rest of what happened last night with Ryan Johnston here. Paul Perillo in on Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines.
All right, as we just told you, Bruins lose last night to the Capitals 2-0. 1 point lead over Florida for the division as they play their regular season finale at TD Garden tonight against the Ottawa Senators. Judd Surratt, Bob Beers, pregame at 6:30, face-off at 7 here on the Sports Hub and the New England Honda Dealers Bruins Radio Network. The Red Sox also struggling offensively yesterday. 3 hits and a 6-0 loss to Cleveland, wasting an excellent performance from Cutter Crawford, who struck out 6 and allowed 2 hits over 5 2/3 innings. Outfielder Tyler O'Neill, injured, left the game after colliding with Rafael Devers, needed 8 stitches in his forehead. Game 2 of that series against the Guardians is tonight. Day after they hosted Michigan quarterback J.J. McCarthy for a visit, Patriots today will have quarterback Michael Penix in town, Washington. Adrian Wojnarowski reporting a pair of Celtics have made the Olympic team for Paris for USA Basketball. Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday going to join guys like Steph Curry, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Joel Embiid, and others. There's still one open spot, too, and both Jaylen Brown and Derek White are potentially in contention for that spot. Western Conference play-in tournament starts tonight in the NBA. Lakers at the Pelicans. Golden State will visit Sacramento. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Safety Insurance, providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your independent agent about safety. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. We got more headlines at 7 o'clock.
What he said. Now more of on the Sports Hub.
Toucher and Hardy brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Fred and Wallach out. Perillo and Ryan Johnston in. Ryan?
Yes?
I hit the post there for Dan O'Brien.
I'm still impressed that you hit the post yesterday on the starting gun.
Yeah, on the starting gun. That was luck. I talked right up to Steven saying, just give me a key, so that counts. Because it was a lyrical post. These aren't lyrics.
This is not.
If this were part of the intro, I would feel okay talking over this.
It's not instrumental either, but yeah.
If you went back in time and saw, the handwritten notes, that was all written out, guaranteed.
By the way, Aerosmith has rescheduled all those dates from last year, or was it 2 years ago?
No, it was this past. They were supposed to play New Year's at the Gardens.
Yeah, New Year's at the Gardens, so they've rescheduled. They're going to play this.
No, I thought you said this year, Spider.
No, I did say New Year's. No, I thought you meant that. I thought you meant last New Year's.
Is this
New
like
Year's.
a millennium thing? It's like a. Which is it? 1999 or 2000?
Yeah. It was our fault. We got messed up.
What
else? What else? Ryan?
So this is not last night, but yesterday morning, Hardy.
Yeah.
The traditional Patriots Day, early start time at Fenway.
Oh yeah.
The Red Sox got a terrific performance from Cutter Crawford yesterday. Gave up only 2 base runners, 2 hits, no walks. Struck out 6 over 5 2/3 innings. Got exactly 0 offensive support, however, as the Red Sox managed just 3 hits in the game. It was scoreless into the 7th inning, and then things started to go sideways.
Swinging a high drive down the right field line, hit it deep into the corner. That is way, way back there and gone. Brennan coming off the bench and smacks a 2-run homer. Cleveland on top, 2-zip. That's what you call big league pinch hitting.
Will Brennan, that is, by of course, Dave O'Brien on Nesson. Will Brennan, with his first home run of the year, puts Cleveland up 2-0 against the Red Sox bullpen. And then things got even worse. Rafael Devers, just back into the lineup yesterday after missing 4 straight games with a sore shoulder, is trying to chase down a pop fly in shallow left field, and here comes Tyler O'Neill, and bad things happen.
Popped him up. Devers and Rafaela out. Coming on O'Neill, and a collision. Oh my, Raffy went down, O'Neill went down. They both go sprawling in the outfield on the catch, and Raffy,
I think he's bleeding. Oh, no.
oh my, face down. O'Neill
Cut his head.
Yeah, Tyler O'Neill did, in fact, cut his head. Needed 8.
I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at the horribly offensive and inappropriate thing Dan O'Brien said in my ear. It was right after the face down comment. You can insert your own 2 Live Crew lyric after
Perhaps something facing up?
That's right.
Gotcha.
And that's
Thank
the way
you, Ryan. Yeah.
they like to.
Tyler O'Neill needed 8 stitches
Awful.
in his forehead. Rafael Devers did stay in the game, but was being checked for a concussion apparently afterwards as things went from bad to worse there. Tyler O'Neill been, dynamic player for the Red Sox.
Sure.
Great start to the season, and who knows what comes out of yesterday.
Paul Perillo is a former baseball coach. What went wrong on that play?
Yeah, Devers needs to get out of there.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty routine play for the left fielder coming in. I think you learn in Little League that the guy coming in has an easier play on the ball than
Running
the guy
toward the ball.
coming out.
Toward the ball.
So Wellesley JV baseball would not make that same play.
Well, I make no promises. 1993 through 97, that play may have been botched by the Wellesley baseball team, but not, however, due to a lack of coaching.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But here's my my thing that has really nothing to do with the play itself. In this day and age of head injuries, Rafael Devers stays in the game. He's going to be evaluated for a concussion after the game. I mean, I don't know if you guys get a good look at this play.
He laid there motionless for a good 30 to 60
head.
seconds.
He was actually holding his head. If that happened in the NFL, if that was Tua, they wouldn't have let him play until like 2025. Like, what are we doing? He stays in the game?
A guy who, by the way, has literally been back from injury for
7
2
innings.
hours at that point.
Yeah. I think O'Neill's I'm not going to be surprised if O'Neill has a concussion as well. And
Broke
he's
his
gonna
Oakley's, too.
But, yeah, the stitches came because of the glasses.
They're not cheap.
Did you see that?
The whole thing, shattered.
The collision, the nose piece went flying into the air.
I'm not laughing. I thought those things were supposed to be unbreakable. Wasn't that part of the advertising of the Oakley blades and the Oakley shields? They were bulletproof.
Well, that's because whoever made that claim knows that the infielder never goes out that far and runs into the outfielder.
Right. They
never took that into account.
They didn't test it for that. They shot a bullet into the lens, but they never actually had them on someone's head.
Did they ever have
colliding
Rafael
with an
Devers
outfielder?
headbutt them to make sure that
was a nasty collision? In all seriousness, I know I'm making light of it. I don't mean to, but that was they're probably lucky if that's the extent of it, that they might be evaluated for concussions and they're able to move on.
They did make the play, however.
Yeah,
Devers
caught the
did
ball.
make the catch. That got them out of the inning, but in the 8th inning, the defense problem again.
2 out. Ground ball off the glove. It deflects into right field, and another run is in. Kwan heading into third. Ramirez to second to throw. Clangs away. Here comes another run. The Red Sox throw it around. And it drawn some boos from the crowd justifiably. It is now 4-0.
Wow, even Dave O'Brien justifiably booing.
Yeah. Inside of 20 games it took him. I'll let you know when Uke gets there.
And
they're still above 500.
Uke hasn't gotten to that point yet. No, we just got to go back, go get him tomorrow.
I'm watching it one more time, and I guess I could make a case that he didn't need to go into the baseball version of concussion protocol. It looks, his head didn't snap back or anything. It's you got.
Did you see how long he was down?
It was laying there motionless for a long time.
5 minutes.
No, he lifts his head up. He was very, very hurt, but it was more of a stingy cut.
I sustained an injury.
Yeah, it was a stingy
and
cut.
his shoes.
Yeah, his shoes stayed on. All right, so they're still above 500. What does that put them at?
9-8.
9-8.
They're tied for last in the division, but they're 9-8.
Fantastic. And also because of the 11 whatever start time, people were still home at a reasonable hour. And it's so easy to get
I was going to say,
in and out of the park.
You're assuming they managed to get out.
I have neighbors who went to brunch yesterday. There's big plans, like a 9 a.m. Eastern Standard, pre-Red Sox. I'm like, you're going to Eastern Standard on Marathon Monday before the, They're telling me their plans over the weekend.
Did you make reservations 4 years ago?
Yeah, I'm sure they did. And then they were going to the game. And when I went to bed last night, they were still not home. So I don't know if that was traffic, train. I don't know what they were dealing with. But thoughts and prayers, because we've all been down there at the, at some point. I mean, for years I was involved with some of that stuff for finish line broadcasts.
Right.
And it's just, you can't get there, you can't leave. Once you're down there,
it's
you're
tough.
down there.
I went to that game once, but I was in high school.
Yeah.
Here's Dr. Alex Cora.
Oh, good.
With a medical
update. Good.
A big gash here. He got stitches, 8 of them. So we'll see what happened next. He's going through the concussion protocol. Hopefully everything is fine. Rafi, same deal. Just kind of got hit hard, I guess, So he says he feels good. He feels good. So we'll wait and see. He'll go through the same thing.
Also, additionally, this game did not sell out. I think there was speculation as to whether or not they were going to announce it as a sellout or whether it was going to be close.
Announced attendance was 33,008 yesterday.
Okay. But you saw there were seats available.
Sure.
Yeah, Sunday was even worse.
Oh, Sunday was. But if you can't, it was a beautiful day yesterday.
Yeah.
It's marathon day. You can't pack that ballpark on that day. I don't know when you can.
After you just went through the whole thing and say, I'm sure you got out of there very easily. Maybe people didn't want to do that. It was a beautiful day yesterday.
Another one today? Well, I don't know. Maybe.
You got a quick round in after this one, Barry?
I have everything. This is what I did with the rest of my day yesterday. I did the golf prep for the season.
Oh. Okay.
You know, got the clubs ready, got the bag cleaned out, reorganized a few things, reorganized all my shoes, and and this is the other fun thing. You're thinking to yourself, I'm gonna have to come into some golf balls one way or the other. Purchasing them being the absolute last option. How am I set right now? And once you start,
so you're telling me there's like a golf ball distributor coming on the Sports Hub Sports Hub Golf Club this weekend?
I wish. The margins on those things are so very low that they're not in the habit of just handing those things out. There are other items where they're a little more liberal with. Tough to get
golf balls, really.
Yeah, back in the day we did. My buddy, a guy that I knew years ago, Steve Conley, may he rest in peace. When he worked for Callaway, he would take care of it. He would do Sports Hub logo golf balls for us, and we had them. Oh my God, it was great. I mean, it was fantastic. But that was a long time ago. My point is this: once you start collecting them from the various places they've been stashed away, golf bag. Oh, I had some in this drawer here. Oh, there was some on this shelf in the garage. Pull them maybe out of someone else's golf bag who plays once or twice a year during a wine and dine. I'm not saying who, but maybe she had 2 sleeves of TaylorMades in the side pocket of her bag. She doesn't need these. Put these in the stockpile, right? Let's see what we have. Let's add them to the hold. I have, let's just say dozens. I have dozens. Enough to where I said, when Marcy came home from my wife, she came home from whatever she was doing yesterday. I said, look up there. I said, look at all the golf balls because it's a partnership. It's a marriage. So look at all the golf balls we have for the season. And she said, is that going to be enough? I said, if it's not, we both need to quit. That should be enough golf balls to get us through the season.
Yeah, I was looking good for my first round, and then I made the mistake of inviting my son to join us. So we got 2 foursomes.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm not looking as good anymore. I literally played the 9 holes with 1 ball. I had a good day. For an opening day, that's a good day.
So she always makes fun.
He did not play the 9 holes with 1 ball.
Yeah, I can imagine. And is not fastidious when it comes to looking for the lost balls either.
Oh yeah, I could. Yeah, no, I'm just going to hit a provisional.
I'll just hit another one. I'll just drop one here. You could look for 30 more seconds. We're not on the clock. No one pushing us. Why don't you find? It's like dropping a $5 bill and saying like, that's fine.
I was just thinking about like the price of golf balls. I just looked up. You can get a dozen Major League baseballs for half the price of a dozen golf balls.
I believe it.
Baseball's a dying sport, Ryan.
Apparently.
Yeah.
But there's like leather involved and, there's
stitching.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. Now,
it's like 3 times the size. I mean, you'd think it would be, expensive to make.
But my wife makes fun of me, too, because a few times a year I will pull the balls out of my golf bag, and I have this ritual where I take like a plastic tray, hot water, detergent, bleach. And all the balls that I collect on the golf course, they go into that thing, and I let them soak for a while. And then I have a nail brush that I use to scrub them up. And then I determine which are suitable for replay and which will go into the shag bag. She said, why don't you just go buy some? I said, hey, why go fly a kite when you can just pop a pill, Because, A, I'm saving money, and B, there's nothing wrong with these balls, especially the way I hit them. It doesn't matter. It saves money. It's a Pro V1.
I years ago bought.
If you found a $5 bill and it had some dirt on it, would you just leave it there? No, you flick the dirt off and you stick the $5 bill in your pocket.
I'm not making fun of you for using the balls, but you can't just clean them at the course.
Oh no,
individually.
No, there's a ritual. Yeah. There's a ritual.
Yeah, the 2 of you. You're with this?
Well, yeah, I bought dozens of secondhand balls a few years ago, and I've been using them ever since.
I have no problem with that at all. I have a lot of scoffs.
A lot of them have logos on them and stuff.
Oh yeah,
very festive.
It's great. Yeah,
I'm just talking about the time it takes to put them on a tray and bleach them. Like that seems a little excessive.
Yeah, I don't do that.
It's my ritual.
Yeah,
I like it.
No, I know.
I like it. Plus, it gets me outside. It's quiet. No one's asking me for anything. All right.
The way some artists work in clay and metals, like Hardy works in golf balls.
Toucher and Hardy brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. FanDuel will continue, and let's talk some marathon here. Some very famous people running the marathon yesterday. A very famous person stopped by our broadcast yesterday before he went over to Fenway Park, and some other unfortunate incidents involving the marathon. Your marathon recap will happen coming up just after 7 o'clock.
More Toucher and Hardy on the way on the Sports Hub.
Bruins had just 16 shots on goal in a 2-0 loss to the Capitals last night. They will play their regular season finale tonight at TD Garden against Ottawa. Judd Surratt, Bob Beers have your Duncan pregame at 6:30, face-off at 7 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. If the Bruins win tonight, they clinch the division and play Tampa in the first round of the playoffs. If the Panthers catch or leapfrog them, Boston would play Toronto. Red Sox had just 3 hits in a 6-0 loss to Cleveland yesterday. They will play Game 2 of that series tonight. They'll also check in on Tyler O'Neill, who collided with Rafael Devers chasing a fly ball yesterday. O'Neill needed 8 stitches in his forehead. Both guys were checked out for concussions afterwards. A day after they hosted Michigan quarterback J.J. McCarthy in Foxborough for a visit, the Patriots do the same for Washington quarterback Michael Penix today. Adrian Wojnarowski reporting USA Basketball is finalizing its Summer Olympics roster for Paris, and that team will include Jason Tatum and Drew Holiday, Steph Curry, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Joel Embiid, Devin Booker, Tyrese Halliburton, Anthony Edwards, Bam Adebayo, Anthony Davis. Sounds like a pretty good team. They're going to keep one spot open for now. That could mean Jaylen Brown still has a shot. NBA Western Conference play-in tournament starts tonight. Lakers and Pelicans, followed by Golden State and Sacramento. Sports Hub headlines brought to you by Cape Cod Lumber and CCL Homescapes. 100% employee-owned, your go-to independent lumber yard. Partner with CCL and CCL Homescapes for all your building needs right in Abington. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. We got more headlines in around 30 minutes.
Boston's best sports talk. There's an app for that. Download the Sports Hub app for loads of stuff. Absolutely free. Connect with the shows, get podcasts, and more. Get it where you get your apps. Or at 985sportshub.com. In the office, in your car, in your footy pajamas, this is how Boston sports fans start their day.
I bet you're just jealous.
Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Hour number 2 of Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. I mean, they just do. I said it's hour number 2, but then separately, Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. You understand what I'm saying? Make every moment more with FanDuel. I'm making this more complicated than it needs to be. So Paul Perillo ran the marathon yesterday. Paul, how you feeling? A little crampy?
Paul Perillo couldn't even spell marathon.
Oh, that's not true. That's not true. But a lot of famous people, as famous as Paul Perillo, ran the marathon yesterday. So, Boston Globe did a nice little collection of people who ran the marathon yesterday. Just some of these people we all know. Other people, I think, I don't know if I would use the word famous necessarily for some of them, but a lot of them running for like great reasons. And that's the thing that I don't think it's lost, but the amount of money that some of these people raise to run the marathon is really impressive. Because what I think, to be a part of a team, your team has a goal, but then, you know, individually, a lot of these people surpass their goals. You know, tens of thousands of dollars per runner that all go toward great causes, which is nice, which is good. But let's start with Zdeno Chara, who, again, anything this guy does or did outside of hockey amazed me, because with that frame, you don't expect him to be necessarily all that athletic or agile or capable of doing much. And this guy could do just about anything. He would go on these long bike rides. He would go on the bike tours in Europe over the summer.
Yep.
Didn't he used to win like the pull-up contest at Bruins Conditioning? That was something that he was kind of known for. So insane shape throughout his entire playing career, and still now.
Yeah, I mean, he's ridiculously impressive.
Yeah. So he ran it, I believe, for the first time last year.
Yes.
Okay. He ran it yesterday. He beat his previous time by 8 minutes. 3 hours, 38 minutes, 23 seconds. That was what he ran last year. This year, 3:30:52. he ran essentially 8-minute miles. 8:03 is the exact split.
It helps when you take half the steps of the other people who are marathons.
Oh, is that?
Because it's really like a regular person running 15 miles.
So you're not giving him a lot of credit for.
It's impressive.
Running
but
8-minute miles at the age of, how old is he? 40.
47.
47. I was going to say 48.
47. Yeah.
So a 47-year-old
bleeding though, right?
who is not a marathoner for a 47.
Well, he is a marathoner now because he is running another one on Saturday in London.
Okay.
He's running 2 marathons in less than a week.
In a week. Wow.
This is his 7th marathon in the last 12 months. 7.
But 2 in a week.
Yeah. So let's hear from
Big Z.
Zdeno Chara here. Yes, as Ryan says, getting ready to run another one.
World Marathon Majors, what's next?
London, Sunday.
Wait, you're going to run London?
Yeah, I think that's the plan. We're going to go to London.
This Sunday? This Sunday?
Was I doing that interview?
You realize most of these other people won't be walking by Sunday? It's like, I go to London.
When?
This Sunday?
Yeah. I'm going to rest up for a couple of days. I'm going to run another one on Sunday.
This Sunday?
Yeah, this Sunday. Yeah, like 6 days from now.
I saw a quote in one of the stories this morning. He's like, I just try and stay active. Like in retirement, you're just trying to stay active. Like, oh, yeah, by running 26 miles twice in a week.
You know what you could do, Z, is go out onto the golf course real early or real late, and what you do is collect golf balls that you find, and then you take them home and you put them into a bucket.
Some people like to
stay
detergent.
Some people like to go walk around the mall, in their retirement age.
Unbelievable. Yeah, so he's going to run another one.
This Sunday?
This Sunday. Zdeno Chara. What else do we have from Chara here? Oh, yes, it was a beautiful day. So weather-wise, I guess good for running.
It was lots of fun. Obviously different conditions from last year, but it was amazing. The fans were just so loud and cheering us on. It was an amazing day. I enjoyed it very much. Lots of fun, and it was just a great day to be running marathon.
I didn't know that he was running yesterday. We were right there by the starting line, and when the waves of runners go off, there are the elites. There are it starts with the wheelchairs, and then the hand cycles, and then you have different waves of runners going off. But when like the first big wave of I call it Gen Pop, goes off, it's staggering the number of people who are doing this thing. And somebody said on Twitter yesterday, hey, 30,000 people ran this thing. Let's, stop throwing flowers to everyone's way. It's not that big a deal. Okay. I couldn't even imagine the undertaking. But even in that sea of people, I bet you could have spotted him. Had you given us a tiny heads up as to where he was in the pack, he would have stood out.
Oh, yeah.
You would have been.
How many 6'9" guys ran it?
I was going to say, what do you think the second tallest person is in the marathon? Because runners, as a general rule, aren't usually that tall.
Well, when you factor in the number of just averaged height men and women, he was probably a foot taller, I would say, than the average runner out there yesterday. So, Of course you would have been able to pick him out in that wave, but we were trying to get the hell out of there, too. I mean,
how'd that work for you?
A little more difficult than we had anticipated.
It was a process.
You sounded so confident when I mentioned that. You're like, hey, you guys, how long are you guys going to stay? It's like, no, we got our escape route all mapped out.
If we get delayed, I'll just get a tray of golf balls out and bleach them. Don't worry about it.
I can keep myself busy. No, I sounded foolish, almost like starting this show. Oh, I like to get up early. It'll be no big deal. I can adjust to the morning schedule. Yeah. Oh, we'll get out of the marathon. No problem. There'll be no problem getting out of there. Yes, Dan.
So one of the other things with Chara is he's done a half Ironman in addition to the 7 marathons.
Oh, like Dennis Knudsen.
A 50-kilometer trail race.
All right, how long is 50?
That's 35 miles, right? If you do a 5K Put that at about 3.5 miles.
Right.
Let's do a 50K. That's 35 miles.
Yeah.
Trail race.
I can't. I mean, what are you doing?
Shaved 28 minutes off his previous times in a mere 2 years.
I figured the triathlon with him because of all the biking that he did when he was even on the Bruins. Remember, he used to bike everywhere.
You're going to have a special bike. That has to be built for him, I would think. You can't go into Sears or Toys R Us and take one off the rack there. You got to get a special one.
I did hear you yesterday with
Dennis. Yeah.
You're very mean. That was very mean.
Look,
I'm just telling you.
This guy is always talking about his triathlons.
You were mean. And Dennis, I just want you to know, in case you're listening, I wasn't really laughing at that at all. But you're very, very mean.
But if you say you're doing triathlons, especially regularly, and you're kind of known for it, you better be doing full-length triathlons. Okay? Don't come up with
Hardy makes it sound like Dennis goes out, swims like 3 laps in his above-ground pool, hops out, jogs around the pool, the outside of the pool.
No. He does 3 laps in his above-ground pool. He rides his bike around the block 4 times, and then he parks the bike at the end of the driveway and runs to the house. That's his definition of a triathlon. Or as someone said yesterday, he's really more of a athlete. He tries.
He tried. I also liked, and I love Dennis. Dennis, you know that. But the plantar fasciitis was acting up. And what was the other thing that he had in the middle of his best marathon?
I can't remember. It was some other ailment that derailed him.
I was like, yeah, she's just like the rest of us, Dennis. I started running a lot during COVID. My knee started bothering me. I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I stopped it. It's not good for you. All right, let's see. So we had Zdeno Chara. Matt Kenseth. Do you know who Matt
NASCAR driver Matt Kenseth.
Look at Ryan Johnston.
Look at the
Congratulations.
big brain over there.
All right. He won the NASCAR season championship in 2003. Ran his first marathon in Berlin in 2019. And also has run the Boston before. Henry Richard, older brother of Martin Richard.
Oh, yeah.
He ran yesterday. So that was a good story. Lydia Edwards, outgoing Boston City Councilor Lydia Edwards. I could walk in here right now. I wouldn't know who Lydia Edwards is, but congratulations. I posted a photo. There she is. Posted a photo, and she was raising funds as pretty much every runner does. How about this one? Heather O'Reilly and Leslie Osborne. Do you know who these marathon celebrities are?
No, but I'm just going to defer to RJ because he knows all these people.
Heather O'Reilly sounds familiar. But I can't place the name.
Dan O'Brien must know.
Football.
Soccer.
Oh, sorry, football.
Or you know what? Football? Dan probably he probably does call it football because
he's English.
Yeah, he wants to be European so badly.
Oh, does he?
Oh, Tour de France, Wimbledon.
It's like my former colleague Eric Scalavino.
Premier League, all that stuff.
He was European.
Yeah, all that stuff. All right,
okay, you asked me. I said football.
Okay, that's good enough. Former champions. Some of the former champions of the Boston Marathon who ran it like 10 years ago, still putting in times of like 2.5 hours. You would think that your window for being a world-class marathoner would be, pretty short. And I know that if you're
but that's,
if you're finishing 15 minutes off the lead, then you're really not world-class anymore.
Like the 2.5 hours is an incredible pace, but you're like 25 minutes behind the winner.
Yeah.
It's like Hardy, one of the older golfers, Bubba Watson.
Yeah.
He's still playing, a high professional level of golf, but he's not competing.
How about Matt James? Anyone know who Matt James is?
Is he related to Kevin?
No,
I do not know Matt James.
He is star of season 25 of The Bachelor.
Oh.
Impressive time, though.
Should have called Beth.
I could double-check what he ran yesterday, but in 22 he ran it in 3:49.28. So, anyway.
A sub 3:30? That's not bad.
Yeah.
What about Nicholas Kiefer? Anybody? Was ranked number 4 in the world at what point?
Nicholas
Kiefer, Kiefer.
You know what? I may have been
Is
reading.
he a competitive eater?
I may have been giving you results from the wrong year on some of these.
Yeah, you're in the wow.
I may have been giving you the
From the
results
wrong
from
You clicked on that related article
from the wrong year.
It took you a couple of years ago. Nicholas Kiefer, German tennis star who reached career high rank of number 4.
Okay.
You missed him.
Yep, he ran 3:59.25. How about that? 30 seconds under 4 hours.
Excellent. Yeah, those were all from the wrong year. Oh, well. Well,
They were still impressive.
So is he still running in London?
I saw. Yes.
Okay.
That part was.
That was yesterday.
That part was all current. That one I got right. And people apparently were spotting Zdeno Chara quite easily there yesterday. All right. Yeah, there was a Spider-Man out there. There was the unicorn guy. Here's the thing. If you're going to run in a goofy costume, you better be able to run, because I saw George Washington walking up Heartbreak Hill in one of the pieces of footage yesterday. It's like, you can't do that.
He should have been in a canoe.
Was it a canoe that he took across
What am I talking?
the Delaware?
Like a rowboat.
Oh, no. I think
a rowboat. It's close enough.
There was a canoe.
Yeah.
Should have been in a
It's
paddle
a
boat.
famous painting of George Washington in a canoe crossing the Delaware.
Well, my apologies to everybody who ran it back 3 years ago, and I gave your results, but whatever.
Okay.
You know what? For all I know, you ran it yesterday, too. Here's the most important part. Rob Gronkowski did not run the marathon, but he was the grand marshal of the marathon. He stopped by yesterday. We had a little chin wag with him, and then he did something at Fenway Park. We'll get to that next.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
I no longer love things.
Let's go. Let's ride.
98.5.
Like, let's roll the dice.
Sports Hub.
Toucher and Hardy, Paul Perillo in, Ryan Johnston here. Yesterday we were at the starting line in Hopkinton for the marathon as 98.5 the Sports Hub, and other stations in the building. Our sister station down there in the country station, they were out there with us, and I think Adam 12 from Rock 92.9 was doing stuff at the Fan Fest on Saturday. Everybody was involved. It was a big thing, right? Big partnership with the Boston Marathon. And it was, I have to say, even though being out there and, being outside at, pre-dawn hours and get ready for the show yesterday, being at the starting line was cool. That it's a perspective I hadn't seen before.
Sure, it's an experience.
And we got the Grand Marshal of the Boston Marathon to stop by and chat with us for a few minutes. That, of course, is four-time Super Bowl champion. How many Super Bowls? It said on the car. 4. He's got 4. Yeah, because he got the one in Tampa.
Correct.
4-time Super Bowl champion Rob Gronkowski, written on the side of his Honda, where they had him in the back seat. That's a great advertisement for that car. Must be a lot of legroom back there, the back seat of that car that he was riding in. So he went out ahead of time, drove the entire course, and chatted with us beforehand. And for some reason, this won't play now. This is great. What a morning we're having. Between me giving you marathon results from 10 years ago, and now we can't even hear the Rob Gronkowski. All right, I'll get it up here in a second. But Rob was in a good mood yesterday. You know what that leads me to believe, Paul? Number one,
he's feeling good.
He's feeling good. And I think he has kind of found his niche in terms of what he was going to do post-playing. And I think Wallach asked him, what are you going to be doing next? And I think we saw it in front of us. He's going to be like Ambassador Rob. He's going to be your Army-Navy spokesperson. He's going to be your Boston Marathon Grand Marshal. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. Wrestling? No. Movies? No. Do some time on the desk for Fox and do some stuff during football season. But for the other months out of the year, he's going to be the guy that's going to show up and do things for you. And turns out that's what he's good at. I think he is. He's a very likable, lovable guy. Why try and make him be somebody else in a movie?
He's got a lot of advertising, right?
Yeah, sure.
Pitch man.
Do you have it there, Ryan?
I do.
Okay.
Here is Gronk with you guys yesterday.
Since you brought this up, have you practiced the first pitch? Because some people get the yips when they do that.
I haven't thrown a baseball in like 2-3 years, so we'll see what I have. I'm not sure what I should do. Maybe I was thinking, should I Gronk spike the baseball so like,
be safer.
Like bounces off the ground, but then goes right into the catcher's mitt for a strike? Like that would be legendary.
I think it would be cool if you didn't even attempt to get it across the plate. You just spiked the ball.
You just spiked the ball on the mound.
Yeah.
And then just walked off.
Yes.
You
get a big round of applause.
Yeah. All right.
It's a great idea.
You think that's a good idea? You think they would eat it up?
It's going to go viral.
It would go viral?
It was.
All right. Thank you for that idea. You get all the credit.
All right.
He actually said the words. You get all the credit.
Hardy nailed it.
Well, he did. Far be it from me to say that Rob had a half-baked idea of spiking the ball, but somehow
he was going to try and throw a one hopper to the plate. Right? That's basically what he was talking about.
Which you still have to throw a pitch. I mean, that might be more difficult than just throwing a pitch that's going to make
a strike.
Yeah, or throwing it anywhere around the zone. Oh, you want to throw a one hopper that's still catchable? That sounds hard. I said, no, don't throw it at all. Spike it right there on the mound.
Did you ever throw it at first?
Please welcome number 87, future Pro Football Hall of Famer, Rob Gronkowski. Okay, Gronk, how about a strike?
Thank you.
He was thanking you, Harvey.
Yes, that's what I was thinking, RJ.
Well, maybe in the video that I posted, I said you're welcome at the very tail end of it.
You made him go viral.
Future Hall of Famer. I don't know about that.
Oh,
I think he jinxed it. He may not make the Hall of Fame.
He's a Hall of Famer,
like
but I
that.
am surprised that they called him a future Hall of Famer, in all seriousness.
Why not just say four-time Super Bowl champ? Yeah. But, I mean, seriously, you can say whatever you want. You're making pregame announcements. You can say, I would have said, the greatest tight end in NFL history, Rob Gronkowski. So what? What? Oh, he's not?
Well, he is.
Just say it.
In my opinion.
I mean, it would be unlike the Red Sox to use any hyperbole during their pregame festivities.
So, yes, Rob did spike the baseball yesterday. He also told us, among other things, that he did take some time off in the month of March, 40 days in the month of
40
March.
days off.
I missed that.
Okay, so me being
40
me.
days has March. Yeah, I missed that part.
Me being me, I desperately wanted to say something, in that moment. Wow.
You didn't?
In the moment? No, because he's so happy and he's talking with us and all this stuff.
The work-life balance?
And he's very large. He's trimmed down and I think made himself feel better and healthier for just day-to-day living as opposed to football shape. But that's the second time I've talked to him now in the last, 5 months, because he was doing the Army-Navy stuff back in December. And I think he's in a very good place where he's making a real good living doing stuff and seems to have found his place. That's it. Ambassador Rob. Good for him.
There you go.
Yeah, I like it. Now,
and you made him go viral.
Okay.
All on you.
All right.
Did you ever throw out a first pitch?
No.
No, they never asked you?
No.
RJ,
Who would ask me?
No, never have.
No. Nobody would.
Well, I figured maybe with like a promotion for the station, maybe you go to like one of the minor league parks or something.
Yeah, I suppose it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I
listen.
I would absolutely practice it. What?
We went 17-3 one year. We were legit.
Oh,
Wellesley JVs.
Okay.
Taking a lot of shots at the Wellesley JVs. We were good.
Okay.
We were really good. This is back in the early 90s.
I understand. Have you ever thrown out a first pitch?
I have not, but I've always thought that if I did get the chance, that I would definitely throw a curve.
Yeah, put some junk on it.
Oh yeah, and they'd be like, whoa. What? Do you think I'm kidding? I've thought about this
because
I don't throw that hard. In my prime, I didn't throw very hard. So it's not like I could sit there and say, I'm going to impress everybody. I'm going to rear back and, like a Nolan. You see Nolan Ryan doing it at like 8? I don't even know how old he was, but he like just pumped gas right down the middle. Like, I can't impress anybody by throwing the ball like 85 miles an hour, which I couldn't probably touch now anyway.
Okay, but you're not out there
But I could throw a curve.
Okay, but
I mean, the guy catching the ball is not wearing gear or anything. He's
I
he's
would hit
not
him in the
looking
glove,
for you.
Ryan.
He's not looking for you to break 90 on the gun.
I had elite pinpoint control, Ryan. I wouldn't have anybody. I wouldn't hurt anybody. Don't worry about that.
You work in the black like Maddox?
Oh, painting. Picasso.
Yeah. Filthy corners. 97, lots of movement.
Not 97, 80, more like 84.
Just breaking
you think you could throw 84 right now?
Oh, now?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Breaking out the circle change.
No, that's what I topped out at.
So
in my quote-unquote prime.
I don't think there's anyone listening right now who doesn't know and hasn't consumed the Patriots.com pre- and post-game shows. But Paul and I have been working those together for years now. And I've called you a lot of terrible things over the course of those shows.
Yes, you have.
But Hardo, I don't know, has been one of them until now.
Oh,
that's
please.
a Hardo move. To go out there and throw a curveball on a ceremonial opening first pitch.
Well, I just think it would be a Hardo move for me to expect to ever be in a position to be asked to throw out a first pitch.
You don't think they would bring you back to your college
I don't think I'll ever
team?
get that opportunity. No, since my college team no longer has a program, I'm going to guess that's not going to happen.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Boston University, yeah. We ain't got baseball no more. Maybe you didn't hear.
I didn't hear.
No.
How long ago?
Oh. Late 90s? 96 maybe? 97? 98? I don't know.
BU doesn't have a baseball team?
No.
Oh.
A lot of programs in New England. Providence, Lou Merlone, proud alum of Providence College. They don't have a program.
So what does BU have outside of hockey?
Basketball.
Most of your typical
basketball.
stuff.
Okay.
They're very good.
Well, they don't have football.
Yeah, they have field hockey, but their softball team makes the tournament pretty much every year.
Oh, okay. All right, good. I want you to have a first pitch opportunity at some point. I don't want you to throw a curveball.
Yeah, I probably would chicken out of doing that anyway.
Okay, all right.
Because I would be definitely fearful that I wouldn't throw a strike.
We came up with the Gronk spike, the spiking it into the mound, which somebody did say afterward, watch. Whoever's who got the start yesterday, it was Cutter Crawford. Yeah, he's gonna step out.
He's gonna roll his ankle and just give it that Gronk puts in front of the mound.
He's gonna plant on the first pitch of the game and snap his ankle. But that didn't happen, and it was fine. We came up with that idea for him. Should you ever get the opportunity, we'll come up with an idea for you.
All right.
How about gyro ball? How about a knuckleball? Can you throw a knuckleball?
I can't. I used to throw a circle change that every once in a while went off the backstop, so that wouldn't be bad. That would be very bad, rather. I wouldn't do that. I would probably just lob one over the middle like everybody else.
You're a lefty.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll come up with something for you.
Maybe I drop down, go a little 3/4.
Should. Let's talk a little bit more Bruins here. Ryan Johnston is here. He hosts the hockey show, so we're going to get into what happened with them last night and what lies ahead for that team. Also, Dane Brugler is going to be joining us later on in the show, who has published The Beast, which you can download with a 72-character password as a PDF.
Or if you're Fred Kirsch, you can just print it out and shut down operations for a while on the
Did he
the admin level.
How many pages is
it's
The Beast?
It's a lot
to print.
Yeah.
You can pull it up. No, it's not. 324 pages.
Oh, that sounds about right. It sounds about right.
Oh,
and then then we all go to him and just take the parts that we want and make copies of his copy.
Let's just get that. Let me get
those quarterbacks. Okay, got it. Thanks.
One that really only anybody cares about here. Yeah, you can keep the rest of that. So he's going to be joining us at 8:20, but we'll talk some Bruins with you next here. You can join us 617-779-0985. Hardy Perillo, Ryan Johnston here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Here are the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines.
Bruins last night dropped a 2-0 decision down in D.C. to the Capitals. They managed just 16 shots on goal in that game. One game to go in the regular season. They have a 1-point lead over the Florida Panthers for the division title. Judd Surratt, Bob Beers will have Bruins and Ottawa tonight. Pre-game at 6:30, face-off at 7 here on the Sports Hub and New England Honda Dealers Bruins Radio Network. If the Bruins win, or if Florida loses in regulation, Bees will clinch the division, play Tampa in the first round of the playoffs. If the Panthers catch them or pass them, then Boston gets Toronto in the first round. Oilers' Connor McDavid last night became the fourth player in NHL history to hit 100 assists in a season. Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, Bobby Orr are the others on that list. Red Sox lose 6-0 to Cleveland, managed just 3 hits in that game. Tyler O'Neill left the game after colliding with Rafael Devers, needed 8 stitches to close a gash in his forehead. Both he and Devers checked for concussions. Game 2 of that series against the Guardians is tonight. J.J. McCarthy was in town to visit with the Patriots yesterday, the Michigan quarterback. Well, Washington quarterback Michael Penix is visiting with the team today. Adrian Wojnarowski reports USA Basketball finalizing its roster for this year's Summer Olympics, and it will include Jason Tatum and Drew Holiday of the Celtics. NBA Western Conference play-in tournament begins tonight. Lakers take on the Pelicans. Golden State visits Sacramento. Headlines are brought to you by the Shell Fuel Rewards Program. Boston Bruins fans save big on home game days. Save 25 cents per gallon on Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline with the Fuel Rewards Program. Just download the app and join the Fuel Rewards Program today. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. More headlines, 8 o'clock.
Has been spectacular.
This is Jason Tatum.
Right corner against Embiid. Tatum for a 50-piece.
You're listening to the home of Boston Celtics basketball, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
coming inside.
Toucher and Hardy brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can also watch us on YouTube. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. Subscribe to keep up to date with all the best moments from Boston's home for sports. We were just talking golf here for a moment because Ryan Johnston has this buttery chipping motion that he practices during breaks here in the studio.
He's wicked good.
Yeah,
you 11 out of 12.
You interviewed Tiger Woods as an amateur.
Yeah.
Way back in the day.
This was, back when he, just before he turned pro. I was interning for the Fox TV station out in Chicago when I was in college.
Yeah.
And we did a feature on him and his dad for the Sunday Night News. And so, the guys are over interviewing Earl, and I'm standing on the...
Because he said, no, the interview's over here.
Right.
Come talk to me.
So Tiger's out on the range after his round, and I was talking to him and asked him, like, how'd you hit that flop shot? Like, I've never seen anything quite like it. He's showing me how to... But he was the most amazing... He was like watching a robot hit golf balls, because there's over 300 yards out at the other end of the driving range, there is a barn. And there's like a garage door on the barn, and he's hitting drives into the garage door, one after another after another. Like, I'm telling you, it was like watching one of those golf club robots that test the clubs.
And what year was this?
This is 95.
So he probably would have been
like
18, 19 years old.
He might not even, I want to say he was like 17, something like that.
Yeah. All right. Good for him. No, anytime you get a chance, and I'm guilty of this, getting instruction from anywhere, everywhere, all the time. Instagram, I love Lee Trevino's, little things. But again, it's Lee Trevino. He can just do things that the rest of us probably can't do. That works for Lee. It's so simple for him. But I watch that. But I would say that anytime you have an opportunity, if you're ever playing in a tournament, or somebody is showing up and giving like a clinic, years ago when they had the senior tournament out there at Concord.
Nishatic?
Yeah. And we show up for, like the, whatever it was, like the Pro-Am.
The media. I played the media day.
Yeah, it wasn't a media day. I was actually playing like the Pro-Am thing. The one Pro-Am I've ever played in was at the,
were you the pro?
Bank of America?
No.
Howard Twitty was our pro.
Okay.
Who played in golf sandals. I'll never forget that.
Golf sandals?
Yeah. They're kind of like...
look.
Like Tevas sandals, but they had spikes
on
the bottom.
Spikes on them,
Yeah. But before we teed off that day, Curtis Strange was giving a short game lesson on the range. So the guys I'm playing with, they show up.
No.
Yeah, he said, we're going to go in and grab some lunch. I said, I'm going outside. And they said, why? I said, because the guy who won back-to-back U.S. Opens is going to show me how to chip. If you want to go eat cold pasta salad, that's on you, but I'm going to take advantage of this thing out there.
Probably a good move by you.
So have you been able to emulate Tiger's flop shot motion over the years?
Yes, it's,
identical.
Every single time.
I never stole them over the green.
No, never. No, it's never happened, not once. All right. So the Bruins played last night, managed, total of 12 shots on goal? Is that what they ended up?
16.
16. Oh, there was the onslaught in the third that eclipsed what they had put together in the first period and a half combined. So they lost last night to the Capitals. They have one more game tonight against the Senators, and now I am convinced they're purposely trying to lose these games so that they don't.
I'm really interested to see what the lineup looks like.
If they lose tonight, then there's an argument to be made for that.
And
you should not lose to Ottawa in a game that you're trying to win to get seeding.
You shouldn't, and I don't think they're so good that this team can go out there and afford to lose games. Any game that they lose, they meant to lose. No. That's not what I'm saying. This isn't like footy pajama stuff. This is a team that realizes their deficiencies and is scared to death to play in Tampa in the first round. So
it is also your third game in 4 nights. So you've got playoffs coming up on Saturday. Or at least we expect that game 1 is going to be on Saturday. So I mean, maybe you got to rest some guys. Maybe you got to give some guys a breather. You don't want them to be tired and banged up going into the playoffs.
Yeah, but you don't want some hardo fourth liner going out there and trying to make a name for himself, and like Perillo throwing a curveball on his ceremonial opening,
scoring
pitch.
a couple of goals and ruining the whole plan.
Ruining the whole plan. They could ruin it with just a regulation win tonight. Would that be enough?
All they need to do is win.
Yeah, that's it.
2 points of any kind, and you guarantee yourself first place in a matchup with
any
Tampa.
win. Yeah, obviously not regulation.
I mean,
any
even
win.
if you lose, there's a decent possibility. I mean, Florida's got to play Toronto tonight, although Toronto doesn't have anything to play for. Although
Does Toronto want to play Florida or Boston?
Well, that's the thing. Would you rather play Boston or Florida? Would the Panthers rather play Tampa or Toronto? There's a decent chance that Florida doesn't roll anybody out there tonight because they want to play Toronto.
Everybody's tanking at the same time?
Well, it's much easier travel for Florida if they end up playing Tampa, so maybe they're just, thinking about that too. Just, bebop and scat back and forth across the state.
I would rather play Florida than Tampa, by the way. I know that Florida knocked them out last year. I just don't like the idea of Tampa.
I don't like that Florida plays playoff style hockey year round. I don't like the way I don't like their physicality that they are already used to playing. They don't have to find another gear in the playoffs or switch to any different type of mode. That's what bothers me about Florida.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I do. I do not understand what you're saying. I feel like the Bruins have not come close to beating Tampa recently in these series, whereas I know I've talked about this a lot. RJ agrees. People forget just how close the Bruins were to winning that series in 5 games last year. When you have a breakaway in the closing seconds of regulation and the series is over. I respect Florida. I do agree with you, Hardy. I think they do play a playoff style, a physical, grinding style that wore the Bruins down last year, quite frankly. I would take my chances with that series again over, that Stamkos, Kucherov, the star power for Tampa, to me, they have as much front-end talent as anybody.
The problem
and the Bruins don't have that to match.
Yeah, and especially lately where offensively they just don't seem to have it right now. So if you get into any kind of a shootout goal scoring situation, I don't like your chances. And I think if you do have something that's working offensively, Vasilevsky is the type of guy who can go out there and steal
it
at least 2 games out of a 7-game series.
And I know this whole thing with the Bruins goalie rotation, and we're going to see how that unfolds, but I don't have that kind of faith in either guy, Swayman or Ullmark, that I would if I were Tampa with Vasilevsky.
No. As good as that tandem is, I don't think
it's the best tandem in hockey, but I'm not sure what that gets you in the playoffs.
Nothing. It doesn't get you anything in one game.
Right.
We are so far past that point, and
they're doing it. You know that, right?
Of course. I believe they are.
Yeah.
Who's in net? Swaymark. That's who's in net.
Swayman looked good last night, by the way.
Sure.
It's good to see that. He's ready
was a
to
bounce
go.
back.
Sure,
it'd
be good to see it'd be good to see him in every game in the playoffs. That's what I've been saying since last year. That's fine. Just go with Swayman. We can't get enough for him in a trade in the offseason. Oh, well, move money off the books. Get something. What about before the deadline? The offers still weren't there. Oh, well, your identity is based on having 2 guys, one of whom will not play in every single game. Foolish. Dumb.
If they are
unnecessary.
If they are both better, well rested, and they are, why wouldn't that be the way you would go?
You're fine. You're doing the tandem. Great. That I've already made my peace with that, and I think it's going to be what we would expect it to be Ullmark in games, presumably 1, 3, and if necessary 5 and 7.
Ullmark plays tonight because it's a back-to-back.
Yeah,
so maybe it's not. Maybe they stick with the rotations.
No,
Swayman kept you in that game last night. That game should have been about 6-0. According to the analytics stats last night.
He played well last night.
There was an expected goals against of over 6.
Yeah, I agree with you. He played well last night. He has not played well down the stretch, and he was terrible against Carolina. in that Thursday. I think it was a Thursday night game last week. He was lucky there wasn't another goal scored that they ended up overturning by maybe a sliver of ice on the goal line. I think they're roughly the same. I think they have slightly different styles, but I don't feel any differently with either one of them in there. My big question about the whole rotation, and I agree with RJ, they're doing it. I would do it at this stage because they've tried it the other way and it hasn't worked. I just want to know what happens when one guy has success and the other guy doesn't.
I tell you,
in the middle of a series.
If you don't do it, then you're just admitting that you were dumb to keep both guys.
No, but you understand
they tried to trade one. They tried to trade Omar, and he nixed the trade.
Okay, well, you got to figure out a way to trade him anyway. He doesn't have a no-trade clause against every team in the league.
No, they decided, the deal was out there. He decided he didn't want to go to L.A., apparently, and so here they are. And I think they're ultimately a better team for it.
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm not quite as far as RJ is, but
15 teams make the playoffs every year and lose going with their number one goalie. Why not give it a shot?
Fine. That takes into that I guess is based on the premise that the reason why you lose a game is because of your goalie. That's the reason why you lose every playoff game is because the goalie didn't play well enough.
See,
if he stops fewer, if he makes more saves, you win those games.
I don't feel like that's why they lost the series last year.
Right.
I mean, Game 6 notwithstanding, Allmark was terrible. Allmark was terrible.
Maybe one game.
Well, let's see. There was the game that he literally gave the puck away in overtime and gave up the game-winning goal.
Yeah, I don't put that game on him. I don't. It was a misplay in overtime, but that I don't.
The game shouldn't have been to overtime.
No, he didn't play badly in the game. Is my point. In Game 6, they had the lead in the third period and he couldn't hold it.
Very quickly, what happened last night, according to Jim Montgomery, in terms of the Bruins' loss?
I thought they played with a lot of desperation. I thought their checking skills were good. I thought they managed the puck well. I didn't think we were at their level. All in all, I didn't think we were willing enough to work hard enough to create offense against a team that protects the middle of the ice.
And whether that was by design so that they don't end up with a win here in one of their last two games and have to play Tampa in the first round and instead get Toronto, maybe that too.
We'll see.
They're not good enough to be out there, and I want to reiterate this so I'm not, taken out of context here. I'm not saying the only way the Bruins can lose a game like that is because they meant to lose. I'm saying it's better for them to have Toronto in the first round than it is Tampa. That's all. And maybe they know it too. There was something else that happened marathon-related yesterday. No, this doesn't have to do with finishing times or celebrities who may have run this year or 2 years ago. No. There was another incident somewhere along the course. Put it that way. Is that fair, Dan?
Yeah, but there was a finishing time for somebody in there.
Okay.
In the story.
Yes. Okay, good.
Yep.
We'll get to all of that here, and then we'll talk some NFL draft with Dane Brugler, man responsible for the Beast, coming up at 8:20 here on Toucher and Hardy.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Bruins had just 16 shots on goal in a 2-0 loss to the Capitals last night. They hold a 1-point lead over Florida for the division title, heading into the regular season finale tonight at TD Garden against Ottawa. Join Judd Surratt and Bob Beers. Pre-game coverage at 6:30, face-off at 7 here on the Sports Hub and the New England Honda Dealers Bruins Radio Network. If the Bees end up winning the division, they'll play Tampa in the first round of the playoffs. If the Panthers catch or pass them, then Boston would play Toronto. Red Sox lose 6-0 to Cleveland on Patriots Day yesterday. They had just 3 hits, spoiling an excellent performance from Cutter Crawford, who struck out 6 and allowed just 2 hits in 5 2/3 innings. Outfielder Tyler O'Neill and infielder Rafael Devers both checked for concussions after colliding, going after a fly ball in the 7th inning. Game 2 of that series against Cleveland is tonight. Patriots are hosting Michael Penix, Washington quarterback, for a visit in Foxborough today. They did the same for Michigan quarterback J.J. McCarthy yesterday. Adrian Wojnarowski says there's going to be a pair of Celtics going to Paris, part of the USA Basketball Summer Olympics team. Jason Tatum and Drew Holiday both going over, along with Steph Curry, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Joel Embiid, and others. One spot still open, and Jaylen Brown and Derek White are both reportedly still in contention for that spot. NBA Western Conference play-in tournament will start tonight. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by John Sewer and Drain Cleaning, keeping drains flowing for homes and businesses in the greater Boston area since 1976. Go to johnsewer.com. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. More headlines in 30 minutes.
Pasternak got that shot away.
Hi, this is David Pasternak.
Pasternak from the low laser.
And you're listening to 98.5 Sports Hub.
Twitch feed of this is going to be used all around the internet.
Get up.
The cat is finally out of the bag.
Get up.
We're back. Hunter and Hardy.
Get up.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Moving forward, using all my breath. Knowing it was always better.
This is blatant.
Wait, this really isn't modern English?
This is a band called The Strokes. Bad decisions. Well, it's a bad decision to put this song on.
Did they not get sued over this? How is that possible?
There's nothing you and I won't do. It's I'll stop the world and battle with you.
I would have been all in on Name That Tune, and I would have lost.
I saw Modern English on Fremont Street in Las Vegas when I lived there, and they opened and closed their set with Melt With You. It was a 30-minute free concert, and they knew how to play to the crowd.
It's like the time I saw Georgia Satellites and playing in a bar and down in where my parents lived down in Virginia, and they played Keep Your Hands to Yourself about 5 times during that set.
Hey, play the hits. And if you only have one, you
Busted
play
out
it
the
twice.
hippie hippie shake a couple of times, you know?
Oh, they had 2 hits.
They did.
They did. Okay. All right. Good for them.
They made it under the cocktail soundtrack with that one.
Well, yesterday was not all about, raising money and completing this awesome athletic achievement for the 128th Boston Marathon. There were some incidents, and I'm not talking about runners whose bowels evacuate unexpectedly or suffer dehydration. Sometimes you don't even have to be running to be involved in an incident. We go to, I believe this is WBZ for this news report. We'll find out here. I just want to give credit where it's due. WBZ TV. Very good.
Sure.
Here it is.
At the top here at 5 o'clock tonight, a person rushed to the hospital after falling out of a second-story window at an Alston apartment building. We're told that there was a big party underway at the time.
Okay. Now, a lot of people have marathon parties.
As there often is when someone falls out of a window. There was a party going on.
Well,
I'm back to my BU days in the late 80s.
This is in Alston, so I'm guessing these aren't, people in their 40s and 50s, and somebody said, hey, as long as I'm here at your party, let me help you with this window treatment. Maybe there was something else going on. Maybe there are shenanigans involved.
If you fall out of a window in Alston on the right day of the year, you can land on a mattress or a sofa.
Sure.
Alston Christmas.
Alston Christmas.
Absolutely.
But also, gentlemen, I don't know if David Wade from WBZ TV will mention it in the story. The responding emergency personnel, 10:52 a.m.
Okay. So
it's Marathon Monday. It's an early day.
Keep that in mind.
Race was already well underway by then.
Yeah, exactly. The runners have been on the course for hours almost. almost.
Just last week, Boston police had actually sent a letter out to area colleges asking students to avoid drinking in public today and avoid hanging out on rooftops or ledges.
Okay, so
Can
they
you
sent
also not breathe today? I mean, what are you asking here? No drinking in public on Marathon Day.
I don't think you understand, Paul. They sent a letter, and
Sternly worded.
Yeah, all of these students living in housing for a few months out of the year, they all have their mail forwarded, so they all get they're all checking the mailbox constantly. That's the best way to communicate with somebody in their early 20s. Write them a letter and mail it. Put a stamp on the envelope and mail the letter.
Asking students to avoid drinking in public today and avoid hanging out on rooftops or ledges. Though from what we witnessed here today, it doesn't seem those warnings were heeded by students here, and the party even got a little dangerous.
Okay, so again, it's 10:52 in the morning. There's a party going on. It's in Alston. It's Marathon Day. What happened?
A party goer taken out on a stretcher Monday afternoon.
Can I get the citywide EDTs to respond here to help us out, please? There's only 5 of us down here.
Police were called to the area of 72 Gardner Street in Alston to break up a large party of mostly Boston University students.
Yeah, how do we do on that bike unit? Because I got thousands of people down there.
Oh, boy.
Hardy?
Well, but only one of them fell.
Thousands of people.
Yeah. Gardner Street. Know it well.
Okay. So, Paul, can you give us a lay of the land? Where is Gardner Street in Alston?
It's right down where you think it is. It's Alston Christmas. It's right where
Wine coolers. Matilda Bay. That came in a little box, I believe. The Matilda Bay wine cooler.
Boone's Farm.
Yeah.
A box.
But normally, I would say back in my college days, day drinking took place on a football Saturday, maybe starting at 9 a.m. It's like a suit. I mean, you're sleeping until at least 8:30.
Yeah, maybe ahead of the Charles Day. 9 a.m., 10 a.m.
Okay.
6 a.m.? Oh, come on.
There were 2 days a year in my college career, 2 days a year where we were going by 8 a.m.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, so no one is. No one is. All right.
The whole school comes around this area, start drinking at 6, 7 a.m., and then just hang out here, hang out in the frat houses.
Hours after the accident, the parties were back. Students standing on the second floor ledges and hanging out windows. On the ground, the fences were bent and broken.
From what, I wonder?
That's what
bodies.
I was going to say the guy fell, but I thought that would be in poor taste.
It's good dedication, though. You get back on the horse.
Yeah. You don't let that stop you. And look, the runners aren't stopping. You're doing it in concert and in tribute to all those people running the marathon.
And to the fallen.
Yes.
The lawn littered with crushed cans and empty Borgs.
Empty what?
Borgs.
Do you know what a Borg is? Now, don't give it away. Do you know what a Borg is?
Ish.
Okay. Ryan, do you know what a Borg is?
The aliens from Star Trek?
No.
The lawn littered with crushed cans and empty Borgs, which stands for Black Outrage Gallon.
Oh. The Black Outrage Gallon.
This was all the rage at UMass a couple of years ago.
Yes, there was a whole thing.
They tape them to your hands, so you can't stop until it's gone.
It's like, this is like an Edward Forty-Hand situation?
Correct.
Gotcha.
Absolutely correct.
Who's they?
The kids nowadays, Hardy. I don't know. I'm well past that. We
didn't
do
to
this
know
when
a
I
lot
was in
about
school,
it
I'll
for
tell you
somebody
that.
who's well
I
past
might
that.
have a lot of, nieces and nephews that are either just through the college phase or in it.
I believe Tom Brady would be a big fan of the Borg because it's got a lot of electrolytes.
Stay hydrated.
Sure. Would it be fair to say that they sometimes mean the drinkers themselves? They tape them to their own hands?
I'm just telling you what I heard, like at UMass, as RJ just referenced.
Okay.
They tape them, and you can't stop until it's gone.
And, well, to your point, though, Paul, some of the rationale around that is the younger generation will say, well, then I know that nobody is tainting my drink, so I'm not walking up to the punch bowl like they do at Animal House.
Smart.
And getting therefore it is
smart.
attached. It is attached to my hand.
Right.
And I know that nobody is messing with my drink.
If you want to dose your own Borg, that's on you. But
Yes.
nobody's dosing my Borg.
Do you know what's the actual
It's an
ingredients?
entire bottle of vodka.
Yes.
And what else?
Water,
electrolytes,
some flavoring.
and Red Bull.
Oh, Red Bull, too.
I think you can put that in there. You got to stay caffeinated.
Yeah, you mix in some like Crystal Light or some Kool-Aid.
Oh,
give it good flavor.
Yeah, as long as it's not like that artificial sweetener, because that's gross. The rest of it sounds delightful.
The lawn littered with crushed cans and empty Borgs, which stands for Blackout Rage Gallon.
That's terrible. I get everybody's trying to have fun, but falling out a window is pretty ridiculous.
Lawns littered with Borgs. Once the party cleared out around 4 p.m., the entire road and lawns were littered with crushed cans of Four Loko beer and half-empty Borgs. The Blackout Rage Gallon, popular drinking item among college kids nowadays, make their own liquor and juice, mix inside a gallon bottle. Just last week, Boston police sent the letter to area colleges asking them not to drink or hang outside of windows. This is, again, from local CBS News, and we thank WBZ-TV for their report there. Well, fantastic. You have nieces and nephews this age in college right now, Paul?
I have some in college. Unfortunately, I have my own son who's a freshman in college. But
that's right.
But he is not. I don't think he's big on the Borgs. He hasn't talked about that. I did have.
Oh,
one
well,
of my
then he's
nephews,
not doing it. If he hasn't told his father about it, then he certainly doesn't do it.
You don't know. I've told you stories about Will.
Yeah.
He's too dumb not to tell me things.
How dare you? He's a college student.
That's
he's
correct.
smart.
He's
But he's not a college graduate.
He's not dumb like his father says. He's smart.
He's not dumb. But he tells Beth absolutely everything. It amazes me. Some of the stuff that he says, I wouldn't even be comfortable telling my mother today that he does. And he's just like, yeah, we did this, we did that, we did the other. Yeah, it's cool. What's the big deal? No one's driving.
Is he bragging?
I don't know. But he's not big into the Borgs. Like I did have a nephew. My nephew Joey went to UMass, and he talked about there was a lot of that going on. I'm telling you, RJ's got that story right. That was a major deal a couple of years ago at UMass.
Yeah, no, it was 46 kids hospitalized at UMass back. It was actually last March, like the Blarney blowout.
The Blarney
46 kids hospitalized because they were just chugging
and
these things
he just
down.
graduated, so that tracks.
Points for alliteration. All right, very good. Dane Brugler does the Beast draft preview, breaking down every player, every conceivable position for the Athletic. He will join us next here on 98.5, the Sports Hub on Toucher and Hardy.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hey, it's Dan O'Brien for DraftKings. And
Sports Hub.
All right, let's do it. Dane Brugler is the national NFL writer for The Athletic and author of The Beast Guide to the 2024 NFL Draft. Dane joins us now on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline on Toucher and Hardy. No Fred Toucher today, Dane, so you were in luck. Instead, it's me, Hardy, and Paul Perillo from Patriots.com and Ryan Johnston. So, Dane, thanks for joining us.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
Big day, big reveal, big password to get that beast. I just want people to know, copy and paste, because I tried it the first way the first time, and there's no way you're getting all those characters right.
Yeah, unfortunately, that wasn't my call. Everything in there, in that draft guide is 100% by me, except that password. But no, I appreciate it. It's a labor of love. You know, it's the last 18 months wrapped up into one document. That's if you're a diehard draft fan, if you're a casual draft fan, there's something for everybody, from all the background information. No other resource out there has NFL verified testing information for almost 2,000 players. So, no matter what your interest is in the NFL draft, this will have you fully prepared for draft weekend.
And this is a few hundred pages long, I think, if you do decide to print it out like maybe somebody did over at Patriots.com.
Yeah, not me, my boss.
Yeah, but you work on this for 18 months. So this is going back to before last year's draft, just looking at guys you knew weren't coming out and starting to work on guys that you knew would be coming out this year?
Well, honestly, it's not on purpose. I'm not really focused on 2025 yet, but inadvertently you can't help but pick up all these little tidbits for future players, whether you're talking to a coach or a scout or a player, or you're just watching tape and you're watching a wide receiver, but, who's this number 12? Oh, he's a sophomore. Okay, here, I need to make sure I go back and watch this play and that play and, watch how he's using this technique. And so inadvertently, I always pick up a lot of information. So as I usually try to take the month of May and take a step back, but June 1st, right back into it. And that's when I can, I've got a base of things that I can go back and look on tape and, a good starting point as you put together the database for next year's draft.
All right. So quarterback is what we're looking at here in New England. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we know who the top three guys are, but J.J. McCarthy was in town yesterday. He's, kind of become the de facto fourth here. You've got him rated as a first, second round guy, but there's a possibility he ends up going fourth overall, perhaps as high as that. What do you think of McCarthy overall, and would he be overpicked if he goes that high in the draft?
Would he be overpicked? No, because there's a quarterback tax. Unless you're picking with one of those first three picks, chances are you're going to have to draft a quarterback earlier than you have him graded. That's just the quarterback tax. It happens every year. Now, time will tell if it was worth doing that. But let's be honest, if you're okay drafting a quarterback with the 18th overall pick, you probably should be okay drafting him with the 4th overall pick or wherever J.J. McCarthy ends up going. Is there a risk involved? Absolutely. There's risk with all these quarterbacks. And, if we have 5 quarterbacks drafted in the first round this year, history tells us that at least 3 of them probably won't work out, won't pan out to live up to where they were drafted. And with the case with J.J. McCarthy, he has actually had the same exact grade since June for me. Going back to my initial top 50 in the summer, he was like 21st, 22nd, around there overall. And I was hoping to see – so I was a big fan of him going back to the summer. But even this season, I was hoping to see more from him just to answer some of the questions. But you know what? It's just not the way that offense was built. And, who am I to argue? They won a national title doing it the way they did it. But when Michigan needed a play on 3rd down, 4th down especially, J.J. McCarthy was able to step up and make something happen. So is there a little bit of a leap of faith here, a little more projection involved? There's no doubt. But when you look at the skills, the physical skill set, Then you look at how smart he is, the intangible factor, the athleticism, what he can do with his legs. You like the package of skills. It's just, okay, what do we think he's going to look like 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now? It's going to take a little bit of looking into a crystal ball to feel good about drafting him in the top 5. So, yeah, even though, for me, he graded as more of a late first, early second, somewhere in the 20s on my overall board, he's going to be a top 6 pick. And it wouldn't be totally shocking if he is drafted before a Jaden Daniels or a Drake May, just because I think we have to remember take the word consensus and throw it out. There's no such thing when it comes to the NFL draft, and especially true with quarterbacks. And so if there's a team picking in the top 4 that has J.J. McCarthy as the second or third best quarterback, it wouldn't be completely shocking.
Dan, I wanted to ask you about some of the secondary quarterbacks. Obviously, those top 4 we've talked a lot about. We'll add Nix and Penix into that. But beyond those 6, let's say there's a scenario the Patriots and wind up getting blown away and trade down and look for a quarterback in the later rounds. Is there one guy that stands out to you, maybe as a third-round pick or, even later than that?
Spencer Rattler from South Carolina has a lot of ability. Some of the reactions to pressure and just the overall consistency needs to improve. But, again, that's why we're talking about third, fourth round type of players. You're sacrificing something. And with Spencer Rattler, it's just overall consistency. But he has the mechanics. He has the arm talent. So if you're betting on a player like this, as long as you're okay with, the interview process and the person, I can understand why teams are going to look at Spencer Rattler and say, okay, we have something here. We have a base, we have a foundation to work with, and our coaches can get the rest out of him. I would throw Michael Pratt in there as well from Tulane, 6'2.5", 217 pounds. He was a big-time baseball player growing up and, really made that transition to football as a quarterback. And there's a lot to like about who he is now, but also a guy that's going to get better and better. A fourth-year senior, still just 22 years old, still has a lot of room to grow. So I think he's going to come in, be a backup somewhere, and then eventually compete for starting reps. And he'll probably be somewhere in that late third, early fourth round discussion.
Spencer Rattler, how tall is he? Is he just right around 6 feet?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just over 6 foot, 210 pounds. So he's short. He's not small, but he's shorter than ideal. And he's not the best athlete. He's a 4'9", 40 type of athlete. So, yeah, you're sacrificing a little on the size, a little bit on just the overall athlete, and again, the consistency. But you really do like he has the arm talent, as good at arm talent as anybody in the draft, and the mechanics are repeatable. They're consistent. It's just about the overall consistency, reacting to pressure, and making the right decision and staying on schedule.
I do appreciate and enjoy some of the weaknesses that you write about among the players. Rattler is one of them, where he had a reputation for rubbing people the wrong way. And so there's things to think about, because even with Caleb Williams, you see what he can do on the field, and you see what these guys, some of them obviously have talent-wise in the physicality, but there are these questions that, especially, here on, in these formats, we end up talking about. It's like, all right, he can play. All these guys can play, but is he going to rub you the wrong way? Is he going to be somebody you're going to want to root for and you're going to be happy with just personally that they end up picking up? So I'm glad you don't shy away from some of that stuff.
But, it's tough, because from my perspective, a lot of what I get is secondhand, from scouts or coaches or other players, and so it's always a dicey proposition when I determine, okay, what is relevant, what's not, what should be included in here. I don't want to kill the kid. I don't want to include something that's absolutely going to hurt his credibility or anything like that, in terms of, when fans read this and say, oh, well, he's this, and this. Okay, well, I don't want anything to do with him. And, so it's always a fine line at trying to figure out what to include, what not to include. And, but if it's relevant, if it's something that teams are talking about, teams are debating, then it's important to include, because if a player's got second round talent, but then say he doesn't go until the third or fourth round, okay, well, maybe you go back to the report and say, oh, okay, well, his interviews didn't go very well, and on the whiteboard he wasn't very clean, and so because of that, maybe that was the reason why he fell a round or two later than most people projected.
Let's talk tackles. If the Patriots get their quarterback third overall, maybe one of the positions of need they go at in the top of the second round is tackle. Who might be available around then who's a legit starting tackle going into the league?
In terms of legit starting tackles right away, there's not a ton of those guys. We're going to see a run on tackles early in the top 20, top 25, 6, 7 of these guys. And then I do think there's a little bit of a drop-off. And that drop-off is because you're going from guys that are ready to play pretty quickly to guys that are going to need time to develop. A player like Kingsley Suamatia from BYU, former 5-star, Penei Sewell's cousin. There's a lot of things that you point to and say, okay, that'll work. That's something we can work with. But it's going to take time for him to develop and, get to the point where you feel comfortable with him outside, blocking your quarterback's blind side, or just being on the field and working in concert with the 4 other offensive linemen. So he's in that mix. Patrick Paul from Houston, Roger Rosengarten from Washington. I mean, I do think there are tackles that are potential future starters in the NFL, but there is a little bit of a drop-off after those first-round guys in terms of players ready to step in from day one and really be someone you can rely on quickly.
So I'm with Ryan on the quarterback tackle combination, but moving a little bit further down, we've heard a lot about the wide receiver crop and how deep it is. Dane, maybe a third round kind of a guy. Can you still get maybe a solid contributor or an immediate contributor in the third round at wide receiver?
Yeah, I think so. And wide receiver is going to be a deep position the rest of our lives. I'm convinced. It's just, if you're not a quarterback, you're not good enough to be a quarterback growing up, you're going to be a receiver if you're, one of the best athletes. And, those are the guys that score points in today's modern day NFL. Those are the stars. And so this year we're going to see 3 guys go top 10. They look like future stars, number 1 type of receivers. And then we're going to see a couple more go in the first round, and then a lot more go in the second round. And we might have 13, 14, maybe 15 receivers off the board in the first 2 rounds. Wow. But even then, I don't think the cupboard will be bare. There will be other receivers looking at it in that third round. And, my 7-round mock draft comes out tomorrow on The Athletic. And I'm the same line of thinking with you guys. I've got a quarterback going 3rd overall. I've got an offensive tackle at 34, and then at 68 in the early 3rd round, I have the Patriots going with the receiver. And I do think there will be some pretty good receiving talents there. If you're looking at a Malachi Corley from Western Kentucky, maybe a Troy Franklin from Oregon, Jalen Polk, Washington. I think there will be several worthy candidates there at receiver if they do wait till the 3rd round to address the position.
All right. Is there a password for that tomorrow? Would you like to give that out on the air now?
No, just have to have your Athletic subscription, and it's included. And so I did all 257 picks. It's kind of a fun exercise because it forces you to really key in on, okay, this franchise, their trends are this, or this franchise looks at this. It's not just about need. It's about style and what every team likes to draft at certain positions. And so, it's an interesting exercise, and I think fans will enjoy it.
Yeah, and all the way down to, if you just want to get that 30,000-foot view, scroll to the very end, and I think it's page 323. You've got your top 100, and I was going to ask you about the receivers too, because you've got, and just in terms of the overall prospects, it's Marvin Harrison Jr. 2, Malik Neighbors 3. There's a lot of good wide receivers, and I agree with you, Dane. I think we're going to see a lot of good receivers for a lot of drafts to come. And the Patriots and other teams are lucky that this is going to be another one where maybe you find somebody in the 3rd round. So,
no doubt.
Yeah, Dane, really good stuff. Read them on The Athletic. It is very easy to download the Beast, the comprehensive draft analysis of every player and all the stuff in there, and then we'll look for your mock draft tomorrow on The Athletic.
That's it. Tomorrow. Yep. Tomorrow morning it'll be up.
Okay. Very good. Appreciate it. Dane from The Athletic, Dane Brugler, thank you once again joining us here on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. Have a good one.
Anytime. Thanks, guys.
All right. There we go.
Dane.
Good stuff.
It's a must. If you're into this stuff, it's a must. There is no more comprehensive draft guide
There's
and the beast.
Seriously, everything you need to know, and it's good to have handy while you're sitting there because, yeah, you get a lot, when the draft is actually going on. But if you want to know more about these guys and not just, the rosy picture that they tend to paint, which is the job, when a player is selected, you don't want to be talking weaknesses in that moment. But that's all there on this comprehensive tome known as The Beast.
Yeah, what I like is to get a sort of an idea of where all the prospects are kind of slotted.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's a lot of names that we're all familiar with. When he started rattling off like Malachi Corley and guys like, these are names that I'm familiar with from doing prep, but like just exactly where they all are projected to go. And no one has it, obviously. The teams are the only ones that know. But it's a good sort of gauge. Okay, third round, these are the kinds of guys that might be available.
Yeah, and it's also fun to look at, for all the quarterbacks, and we've been talking about all of them here during this offseason. Michael Penix Jr. gets brought up a lot, and Bo Nix. And where are these guys overall if you're just looking at taking the best player? And for the Patriots, that's a legitimate conversation because they have so many areas of need. Well, according to Dane, Michael Penix Jr., he's the 52nd best player in the draft. Oh, so that you're saying you could have a much better football player at other positions before you were willing to settle for that guy at quarterback.
Right.
And in his opinion. All right. More to come. Stay with us. Here we'll get the headlines from Ryan Johnston. You're on Toucher and Hardy with Paul Perillo in today on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines.
Bruins lost 2-0 to the Capitals last night on the road, managing just 16 shots in that game. They head into tonight's regular season finale at home against Ottawa with a 1-point lead over the Panthers for the division title. Join Judd Surratt and Bob Beers for Duncan pregame at 6:30, face-off at 7 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Red Sox struggled offensively yesterday, too. They had just 3 hits and a 6-0 loss to the Cleveland Guardians yesterday at Fenway. Outfielder Tyler O'Neill left the game after colliding with Rafael Devers chasing a fly ball. O'Neill got 8 stitches in his forehead. Both he and Devers checked for concussions. Game 2 of that series against the Guardians is tonight. Patriots hosted Michigan quarterback J.J. McCarthy for a visit yesterday. They do the same today for Washington quarterback Michael Penix. Adrian Wojnarowski says USA Basketball is taking 2 Celtics to the Olympics in Paris. Jason Tatum and Drew Holiday both going to be part of that team. There is 1 open roster spot left, according to Wojnarowski, that won't be filled until closer to the Olympic Games. Western Conference play-in tournament starts tonight in the NBA. Lakers and Pelicans, along with Golden State visiting Sacramento. As expected, the Indiana Fever took Caitlin Clark as the first overall pick in the WNBA draft last night. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the Wilbur Theater. See comedian Anthony Jeselnik live at the Wilbur April 24th and the Chevalier Theater on April 25th. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. We got more headlines at 9 o'clock.
It's not just the Sports Hub.
Make every moment more with FanDuel. Fred Toucher out again this week, even though he took 40 days off in March, like Robert Gronkowski. He was off for a week last month, wasn't he? Fred? Off for another week? Yeah. Wasn't he off for a week in March? Sounds right.
May have been right around the end of February, March for it's separate vacations now.
He took his son on vacation. Now he's taking his daughter on vacation.
Yeah. So
All right. Well, he's got the time, Who am I to say otherwise? And then you have the likes of Paul Perillo, who is not only here doing the morning show with us this morning, but then will be heading down to Gillette Stadium where he's involved in high-level meetings for the rest of the day, getting that draft board together.
We gotta hammer this out. I got another 2-hour radio show to do. Patriots Unfiltered.
Does anyone from Patriots.com get to be a part of the war room in any way in terms of the reporting or being there just to witness and file stories, stuff like that?
So some of that is I don't think anybody will be reporting or anything like that, but we'll have cameras in there. Some of that stuff is being worked out now.
Oh.
We had cameras in there when Bill was there, but I think we're hoping for a little bit more access.
A little more access.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't believe any of that has been necessarily finalized yet.
So what do you mean a little more access? I thought you don't.
Do you remember,
Don't the Patriots allow all access? Isn't that the name of a TV show?
Well, TV show. That's a whole different thing. I star on that too, Ryan.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Is that some sort of a misnomer or some sort of a lie?
Ironically,
it's like
not
Patriots
have all
Unfiltered,
access?
right? We do Patriots Unfiltered. Well, it's like kind of like Patriots like sort of filtered.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like, listen, we're not just letting it fly.
And
just
I was
running it through the Brita?
No.
I would say, ironically, Patriots All Access, which is a WBZ TV production,
correct,
sometimes has greater access than Patriots.com.
Oh, without question. Without question. And again, we're kind of hoping, it's the dawn of a new day. We're hoping some of those things maybe get adjusted a little bit.
Okay.
And you guys, I'm sure, have seen some
Paula
of the...
Abdul, the promise of a new day.
Just like
I love it.
The flagship station for the New England Patriots doesn't always have, the celebrity interviews, but we're not coughing up 7 figures to pay those guys for those useless interviews. So, it's one or the other.
There's you know me on interviews anyway, right?
Largely useless?
Correct.
Okay.
But
you don't enjoy the
I
post.
did enjoy Dane Brugler.
Well,
it's a name I have a very hard time saying.
He's not a
Brugler.
player. He's not a player. We get the post game player interview after a Patriots win on the Patriots.com post game show, and Paul's a big fan.
Yes, I am. I've been only trying to eliminate that segment from the show for the entire run of the show.
Are you saying those guys don't want to be talking to us?
They don't want to talk to us.
Oh.
We're in the middle of sort of analyzing, breaking down the game, and it just sort of screeches to a halt.
Okay.
But I lose that argument every time. But you guys have seen, I'm sure, the little clips that we've played on Patriots.com with, like Bill will be on the phone, hey, Devin,
right?
We're gonna pick, one of those deals, and then maybe Robert Kraft gets on the phone, talks to, but they're really small and they're short. Obviously, you guys are smart enough to know that those are highly edited and compressed. So
what?
We're hoping to maybe show a little bit more with Gerard and Elliot Wolf and the new regime.
That would be nice.
We'll see if we can get.
That's it. People find that stuff interesting.
I totally agree. It's some of the most watched clips that we put up, those little draft hits. So we're hoping, like I said, to get a little bit more.
Well, I mean, some of that, and even though, it is a performance of sorts, it's not the same type of performance you get when they're at the podium, for a post game. And it's like, you're really trying to say the right things. This does have a more real, if not completely authentic, behind the scenes.
So I'll give you a quick example. I'm sure you guys both watched The Dynasty, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you remember when they were talking about, sort of having a reset and going to that 2010 draft when they got Gronk? Well, remember Bill, and Bill's like laughing. He's like, get this guy off the stage. And he's like, well, that was all shot in that thing, but we didn't put all of that up at the time.
That up there, yeah.
We didn't put all of that up there, and when time comes by and they go through some of that footage and they used a little bit more. And I thought that was kind of a funny anecdote there with Bill's, kind of like, look at this guy.
He's like, oh, would you look at this?
Yeah. Right? I mean, in retrospect, now knowing what you know about Gronk, That was perfect, right?
It did have a kind of like a Colonel in Boogie Nights feel to it when he walks in the room and the girl's laying on the floor. Oh, would you look at this?
Would you look at this?
Would you see that with all this conversation? Come on. Get her out of here. Think it's time to get some new stuff? Oh, you think? Oh, really, doctor? I think she OD'd. Oh, you think so, doctor?
Think so, doctor?
And poor Scotty, he's just trying to hold the gate when they're carrying her out. Is she okay? Shut the F up. Get the F out of the way. Oh, poor Scotty. All right, John Sterling is stepping down, gentlemen. John Sterling, the voice of the Yankees. He is announced yesterday, or the Yankees announced yesterday, effective immediately, 85-year-old John Sterling. He's going to be recognized in a pregame ceremony Saturday at Yankee Stadium. He's going to visit the WFAN radio booth during the game that day against the Rays. Said, I'm a very blessed human being. I've been able to do what I wanted, broadcasting for 64 years. As a little boy growing up in New York as a Yankees fan, I was able to broadcast the Yankees for 36 years. It's all to my benefit. I leave very, very happy. Look forward to seeing everyone again on Saturday. So, this a little odd that it would happen after the start of the season. Was he in the booth? Has he been in the booth for the first 15, 20 games? Has he been out?
I think a little bit. He wasn't really doing road games this year. They already had people, it was kind of one of those things. He wasn't traveling anymore. But I think he was supposed to be coming back this weekend onto the air and just decided not to.
So, and he's saying he's going to hang it up. Now, far be it from me to point out anyone else make a mistake. I was giving away Boston Marathon results from 2 years ago earlier this morning. But, when John Sterling does it, and he has this gravitas about him, I mean, we tend to remember them. No one's gonna remember my screw-ups because they happen so frequently, and who cares? But when John Sterling does it...
The pitch to Stanton. There it goes. Deep left, it is high. It is far. It is gone out of the ballpark. A Stantonian home run. Now, what did I do wrong? What did I see wrong? He's at first base.
I guess it hit the top of the wall. I thought it went out. Aaron Boone is looking. Are they going to look at this?
I thought it went out. I actually thought it went out of the back part of the monster seat.
Oh, no.
Roger Clemens is in George's box.
No. Why you got to bring Susie in?
Susan.
Suze.
He's always had a flair for the dramatic. Roger Clemens is in George's box.
Things will never be the same.
John Sterling called 5,060 consecutive Yankees games.
That is unbelievable.
From 1989 until he had an illness in July of 2019, he never missed a game.
And he called every at-bat of Derek Jeter's career, every inning that Mariano Rivera pitched, he called every single one. He didn't miss one. That's impressive.
So a friend of mine who's a big Sterling fan, because he actually grew up in Atlanta, and John Sterling used to work before he joined the Yankees. He did the Atlanta Hawks games and stuff like that. He tells a story about he was working at a college, and John Sterling was coming to do basketball play-by-play during the off season. And Sterling walks into the gym, and he has on a Yankee scarf. Like he's wearing, he's dressed to the nines. He's got his suit on and everything. And he's got this Yankee scarf like he's a soccer fan. Like he's draped around his neck.
Are you sure it wasn't an ascot? Because he is from a different era.
It is not an ascot. No, it was a full-on like knitted wool scarf.
Okay.
And he comes walking into the big Yankee logo on it. Like if you didn't have any idea who this was, you know exactly who this is now.
Okay. Now it makes sense. Because anybody can walk around in a Yankees shirt or jacket. You see it in New York all the time. But if you're wearing the scarf, that draws attention for a number of reasons. Number one, it's a scarf.
Right.
Maybe number 1, 2, and 3, it's a scarf. Adam.
Now the 3-2 swung on. A pop foul back here. Ow! 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 It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far. So once again, it'll be a 3-2. Back here. Ow! Back here.
Ow!
He just goes,
Man just retired yesterday. This is inappropriate. I don't.
Some of the highlights.
It's a great. I mean, in all
you
seriousness,
search around on the internet. This is what you
I
find.
don't condone any of this.
How do you not laugh at that?
I find it really out of place. And
Roger Clemens is in George's box.
Of all the things.
We need to find the clip of when I think it was Joe Torre's when Joe Torre was getting fired.
Yeah.
And
this is rough.
Susan started, choking up as they were saying goodbye, and Sterling gives her the, well, Susan, all things must come to an end in life.
All good things come to an end.
Now, woman.
Back here.
Ow!
Don't get hysterical. Don't succumb to the vapors. Adam 12 is indeed my boss on Rock 92.9. He's going to join us here in a few minutes and favor us with another one of his famous radio games, if he's here. Have you seen him, Dan? Oh, he's right up there.
Oh, I think he's on a bird walk. He's out looking at the birds from the roof.
There's the Muppet.
Ah.
All right, the human Muppet that is Adam 12 joins us next here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Touch your...
It is Toucher and Hardy. Fred Toucher out. John Wallach out. But Paul Perillo is here. Ryan Johnston is here. And now Adam 12 is here on Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Adam 12.
Yes.
Who began his radio career in Boston.
Yes.
At the tender age of 22 at WFNX.
20, but yes. Yes, at WFNX, the late legendary alternative rock radio station.
And also not afraid of disease, because he's touching that microphone we were talking about yesterday.
That thing is seriously
pretty gnarly.
Belongs in a Petri dish Hall of Fame. It is awful. But Adam 12 then left Boston to take a job at KTEG Albuquerque Santa Fe, a radio station that I myself had worked at 2 years previous.
True.
And we didn't know each other.
Nope.
Didn't know anything. I knew of WFNX and WBCN and maybe 3 or 4 other radio stations around the country. You know, K-Rock LA, Q101 Chicago. But growing up in Michigan and working in radio, alternative radio there, you knew about like 4 or 5 radio stations, because these were the stations that told other stations what they were going to be playing. What's going to be the next hit? All right, let's look at the playlist, see what FNX is playing this week. Let's see what BCN. Let's see what
Tastemakers.
Let's see what Oedipus picked out to put on the radio. What they're playing at DC 101 in Chicago, or DC 101 in Washington, obviously.
DC.
Yeah, thank you. So these were legendary stations. 12 left to make his bones down in Albuquerque, made it back.
That's usually the way it works in radio, is you leave a market like Boston, you're hoping to get to a place like Albuquerque.
Well, okay, you know something, Ryan? You're being a jerk right now. He did it the right way. He didn't just accept that he was going to be given the drive time slot on a major market radio station. He goes,
turn
no,
that down to go to,
I'll go make my bones in New Mexico.
That's right.
And then come back, which he did, and then I followed him at BCN about a year later.
So wild. It's just wild that you and I were just a couple years apart there. By the way, you were there before me, and your reputation preceded you whenever you came up in conversation. People that I worked with in Albuquerque would go out to Vegas because you were working there to visit you. They say, oh, we're going out to see Hardy. Who's Hardy? Oh, he's the guy who had the job a couple people before you. And then, of course, you and I end up working together at BCN. I got there in 03. You came in 05.
Those were some good visits when they came out.
I'll bet they were.
We had some good times.
And prophetically, he would tell people back then, someday Hardy will work for me. He does.
Yeah.
He may have.
Technically.
But now I am working for Adam 12. He runs Rock 92.9 down the hall. He does everything there. I do a few hours in the afternoon. But once again, Adam 12, kind enough to join us here on the Sports Hub for just a quick segment. I have no idea what this is going to be. Last time Adam 12 was here, Paul, you would have been great at this game. Adam 12 gave us a series of names, and we had to guess whether they were a defunct Boston rock local band or a defunct Boston area business.
Yes. It was fun.
And so defunct either way. I like it.
Yeah, so that was a fun one. So I have no idea what's going on today.
I like that. Well, and again, anytime Hardy rings me up, I have to come because I'm so grateful to have you on afternoons on Rock 92.9. So anytime I can help you out, I'm always happy to do so.
He likes me and says nice things.
I'm still trying to get you to stay as our host.
Yeah, but you wouldn't say that publicly.
I just did.
Yeah, you had to be forced.
The offer's there.
So, yes, I like to bring a game down. And since last time we did kind of a music Boston-based game, I figured since it's 98.5 the Sports Hub, I'd have a sports-based game. Nice. I'm going to tell you the name of the game straight away. In the concept. It's easy. And I'm going to invite Paul and Ryan to play as well. It's called Socks or Not. Really simple. I'm going to give you a baseball player, and you got to tell me if they played for the Red Sox or not.
Okay.
But there's a Hardy twist to it.
Okay.
Dan, if you would please hit the intro music.
Go get 'em, Tiger.
Every single player is a Detroit Tiger. You ever heard this one? It's great, right? I didn't even know that Tigers had like a theme song. Is this bringing you back to your childhood in Michigan?
No, we had the original composition "Bless You Boys" in 1984.
I know that one,
and that was it. Bless you, boys.
Yeah.
I know.
That's great, right? No. Go get 'em, Tiger. So So yes, you can kill the music.
This
Thank
is
you,
so
Dan.
Adam
I
12.
appreciate
This-
that. It's very hokey.
He's got that. No, it's not a hokey. He's actually got this on a playlist that he listens to.
No joke. I actually just I'm going to tell you. I'll tell you honestly. What I was going to do is I was going to play "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" on my trombone and record it and have that be the intro music. But then I felt like I'd be stepping on the classic John Wallach version with the clarinet. I didn't want to get into his kitchen at all.
Okay, so explain the game again.
Really simple. I'm going to give you a baseball player, and you got to tell me if they played for the Red Sox or not.
Okay.
But every play, you're going to have the edge in this game, Hardy, because every player I name was a former Detroit Tiger. That's your hometown team, so you're going to have a little bit of an edge because a lot of these guys you're going to know.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So we'll start with one that everybody knows, and you guys can keep your own score, and keep track.
Chauncey
of what you
Billups.
Wrong sport.
Celtic and Piston.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
The big slugger, and this is a guy every Red Sox fan knew back in the 90s. Cecil Fielder. He was a star for the Detroit Tigers in the 90s. A big slugger. I once watched a game where he hit one on the roof of Tiger Stadium. I mean, he could blast him. Cecil Fielder could. He was their first baseman. But after his glory days with the Tigers, he was a journeyman. Moved around to some different teams later on in his career. Did he play for the Red Sox as well? Was he a Red Sox? Cecil Fielder.
Do you want to go one for one on these, or can we combine our knowledge?
Oh, you can combine your knowledge if you want to. You can poll the crowd. We can phone a friend and all that stuff.
I do not believe he ever played for the Red
Don't remember Cecil Fielder playing for the Red Sox at any point. I can tell you all about the double cheeseburger commercial he did while locally in Detroit, featuring his very rotund son Prince, and the two of them walking hand in hand with their double cheers.
Cecil Fielder, if for the younger kids who don't remember him, had one of the largest asses.
Yes, he loved the double cheeseburger. He loved them.
He could barely walk; his thighs rubbed together so much. He was a large human being.
And as much as we want to goof on Prince Fielder for tripping down the third baseline in the ALCS years ago at Fenway Park, I don't know that his father ever made it to third base unless he was, trotting around after a home run. I bet Cecil Fielder never had a triple in his life. Okay, so we're going to say no, not a Red Sox.
That is correct. Cecil Fielder did not play for the Red Sox. That's your winner from
Hardy.
That was from Bases Loaded.
Cecil Fielder had 7 career triples.
In how many years?
In 13 years.
13
Oh,
seasons.
that's impressive.
Yeah, one every other season. Not bad.
All right.
Pretty good.
Never mind.
Oh, you know what? Since you brought him up, what about Prince Fielder? What about his son, who also played for the Tigers and is famously known for while he was playing? He and Cecil were estranged. And he's famously known, Prince Fielder, during his time with the Tigers, of finding out his father was at a game and asking security to escort him out of the game.
Wow.
Yeah,
you would
look that
never
up.
do that to Cliffy.
No, of course not. You kidding me? Kidding me? He'd be right there behind the plate cheering me on.
They still go out and have a catch.
Once in a while.
Don't have a catch.
Prince Fielder as a Red Sox?
He played for a few teams.
He did not play for the Red Sox.
No.
Okay. That's a no. That's correct. Okay. All right.
We're going to go individual on these next ones because if we combine our vast sports knowledge, we're just going to run the table.
I like that you're pulling the crowd
because
it's going to get harder. Okay, so let's actually go back a little bit. Let's go to the You know what? Let's go to the 1968 World Series Detroit Tigers.
Oh, I love this.
Okay.
Team.
Now, of course, their big ace was Denny McLain. He won 31 games. Was it? They beat the St. Louis Cardinals in the World Series that year.
But he couldn't beat the rap.
No.
He ended up in the Hooskow.
He sure did.
Racketeering, baby.
He said with the 31 wins, he kind of overshadowed the rest of the pitching staff on that team. But there was a pitcher named Earl Wilson who had a pretty decent season, won 13 games for those 68 World Series champion Tigers. Was Earl Wilson a member of the Boston Red Sox?
He sounds like he played for the Red Sox. Earl Wilson. And we've had 2 non-Red Sox in a row.
Paul is and he looks like
Earl
a bobblehead over here.
Former baseball coach Paul Perillo nodding his head.
Having Paul in here is huge
Earl
for you
Wilson
today.
threw a no-hitter for the Red Sox.
Wow. I mean, that's obviously... He sure did. Started his career with the Sox, 59 to 66, then went over to Detroit from 66 to 70.
Too easy, 7 years. And Paul was around for...
None of it.
All but the first 2.
None of it.
Oh, okay. All right.
What about what about the Gen X version of Chris Davis, Rob Deere? All strikeouts and home runs. Played for the Detroit Tigers in the early '90s.
Rob Deere
had a wonderful batting stance where he stood up rail straight and rested the bat on his shoulder. We used to ape his stance at the stickball field when I was a kid. So Rob Deere, again, another guy played for a few teams. Was the Boston Red Sox one of those teams?
He did. Had a cup of coffee with the Red Sox.
See, Paul's going to know all these immediately.
That's right. In 1993, Rob Deere.
Rob Deere was with the Tigers when they Cecil Fielder, Mickey Tettleton, they had everybody in the lineup struck out 300 times that year, but they hit about 50 bombs apiece.
Right.
Now, though, you know what? Since you brought him up, he's on my list, Ryan. Mickey Tettleton. Was Mickey Tettleton a member at any point in his MLB career of the Boston Red Sox? He was a first baseman, outfielder, kind of a versatile guy, could do a couple of different things. And as Ryan mentioned, he played for the Tigers in the early 90s, part of those teams.
Now, I want to be clear on this because Fred brought this up last week, and it was a very good point. You were talking about my time in college where it's kind of this odd blind spot on anything going on in the world.
Too many.
I could tell you.
Boards.
I could tell you all about Busch Light Draft.
Yeah.
I could tell you about what my euchre record was. Playing euchre when I was supposed to be doing something. I could tell you everything that happened at P.T. O'Malley's, the Riv, and Landshark in those years. I couldn't tell you the name of a TV show, movie, or anyone's batting average for about a 3-4 year period.
I know what you're talking about because I can still recite the specials for all 7 days of the week at Chuck's on the Syracuse campus. But
wow.
Could you tell me 2 of the Oscar-nominated movies from that year?
No, probably
There's
not.
no chance. It's like you don't know what's going on unless it's 18 inches in front of you.
Right.
I have no idea.
I'm going to say no, but this is the first one I'm not sure of.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a no as well.
That is a no. He did not play for the Boston Red Sox. Mickey Tettleton, perfect score for you guys so far. All right, I gotta pull a hard one then. We're gonna go to the Baseball Hall of Fame. We're gonna take a trip to Cooperstown, okay? Because I love my old time baseball. I crush an immaculate grid because I know all these old dead ball guys that I can use and get really low percentages when I'm playing the immaculate grid. So we're gonna talk about Hall of Fame catcher Mickey Cochran. Who played for the Detroit Tigers in the mid-1930s. He's a Hall of Famer, I believe also an MVP at least once. And here's the twist, Hardy. He was born in Bridgewater and went to Boston University. So that's the twist on Hall of Fame catcher Mickey Cochran, former Detroit Tiger.
Cochran.
Yes. Did he come back to his hometown team and play for the Boston Red Sox any time in his career? Mickey Cochran.
Old cocky.
I didn't know he went to BU, Hardy. There's a huge plaque of him.
I'm sure there is. And I feel like 12 is trying to talk us into this. He's like, oh, yeah, BU, yeah, born in Bridgewater, yeah. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say Cocky didn't play for the Red Sox.
I don't know this one.
Ryan,
I'm going to say no, and here's why. Pre-free agency, guys didn't move around a whole lot.
That's correct. He did not play for the Red Sox. He played for the Philadelphia Athletics and the Detroit Tigers.
See, this is like a lot of trivia. It's not what you know; it's what you can deduce.
Yeah,
right.
So it makes it fun.
We deduced that he was not a member of the Red Sox.
All right, let's hop back up closer, and we'll talk about another great guy if you play the Immaculate
John
Grid.
Walkenfuss.
Fernando Rodney. The lights out closer for literally,
Mania.
I think like a dozen different MLB teams. I mean, he's a guy that I do use in the Immaculate Grid a lot. Obviously, had his elite years as the Detroit Tigers closer in the 2000s, and then leaped around.
Right?
Yeah, he liked wearing his hat askew.
Right.
He had the move where he would kind of pull back the bow and arrow and release his bolt, as they say.
Scott Zolak in the Georgia Dome style.
There you go. Exactly.
Shot the arrow through the roof of the dome until Parcells said, "Don't ever do that again."
Journeyman closer Fernando Rodney obviously had his best years with the Tigers, Hardy, but was effective for quite a few other teams. Did he ever make a trip to Boston?
We know the answer to this one, Paul.
I'm going to say no.
No, he did not play for the Boston Red Sox.
You knew that one, Hardy.
No, of course not.
No, fake it till you make it.
All right, so let's.
I mean, seriously, he could have been up for like here for like a half a season or something. They're like, I don't know.
He comes over in one of those playoff run seasons as a closer. Yeah. Wow, good pull there. Good pull, Ugi Urbina. All right, look, can I give you one more?
Of course.
We'll go back. So you talk about those kind of blackout years when you were in college.
You got another one?
We're gonna go back to we're gonna go back to when you're younger, when you're a budding young sports fan. Growing up in Michigan, I'm guessing a young Hardy was enamored with the Detroit Tigers. This is a gentleman who played for the Detroit Tigers in the 1970s. So it would have been right as you were getting kind of into your, grade school baseball fandom. Ben Ogilvie was an outfielder.
Hoping you're going to say Mark Fidrich. He grew
the bird.
He grew up and unfortunately died here in Massachusetts.
He played for the Red Sox.
That's supposed to be me. I don't appreciate
He did
that.
play for the Red Sox.
Yeah, I would thought for sure you were going with Mark the Bird Fidrich.
No, we're not going with Mark Fidrich. We're going with the outfielder, the Detroit Tigers outfielder, Ben Ogilvie. Did he play for the Boston Red Sox?
Boy, it would have been 70, early 80. You know what? I believe he did.
I think he did.
Yeah, I believe he did.
You guys ran the table. Congratulations.
Wow.
Ben Ogilvie, a Red Sox member in the early 1970s, 1971 through 1973.
Go get him, Tiger.
Yeah.
So much. You really?
Don't you love it? I couldn't believe I found this yesterday.
If you would have gone with my favorite players from that era,
Yeah, give me a few.
I would have known like Lance Parrish.
Sure, yeah.
I had the poster that Nike put out, and it said Tiger Catcher, and he was standing there posing with a live tiger. Like, I don't believe it was Photoshop like back in the day.
No, they didn't have Photoshop.
And Parrish would have said, "Yeah, I'll stand next to a tiger. What's the worst thing that could happen?"
What a way to end a career.
Seriously.
So I was waiting for Dan Petrie.
Ooh,
I didn't have him on my list. That's
I
a good
believe
one,
he
though.
played for both.
He did. Let me see who I didn't get to that played for both. I had a layup on there in case Hardy was stumbling. I had Jose Iglesias on there. Obviously started, came back to Boston, but played in Detroit most of his career. And then MLB Players Association president
Tony
and yes, Tony Clark, who played for both. And who what are they talking about? The pitchers. The pitch clock is making these pitchers arms fall off.
Which I didn't think too. I didn't think too much of until I went. I went to a game so far this season, and let me tell you something. When there isn't anybody on base, they have no time. The ball gets back to them, and they have to much. I mean, they got to go.
Good.
15
It's not a lot of
seconds,
time.
kid. It's not a lot of time.
Yeah, it's the pitch clock. It's not the fact that these guys throw a changeup. All right, once in a while.
Yeah.
Once in a while, throw an off-speed pitch. Once in a while,
That's
that'll
why
save your
they
arm.
get hurt. Yep.
That's my hot take
because
here
you're
on
overthrowing-
98.5 The Sports.
You're overthrowing
These guys are
every
chucking
pitch.
100 miles. Even starters are supposed to chuck 100 miles an hour in like the fifth inning. Forget about it. That's
Did you see the Rockies might have lost their ace pitcher last night, Kyle Freeland, because he was pinch running and
Are you kidding me?
hurt his arm sliding into home plate?
Didn't they?
A damn pitch clock.
They had a few guys who were not feeling well, apparently couldn't play last night, and so they went to a pinch runner in the ninth inning and brought their ace pitcher in to run from third base.
Didn't they put Clay Buchholz out as a pinch runner
Ugh.
once?
Got hurt.
And got hurt.
Yeah, got hurt.
Yeah.
running.
What? How stupid.
Clay
Why would you
Buchholz
do
got
that?
hurt closing his car door.
Well,
He got hurt taking a nap with his kid.
That's right. He
Remember,
his
he
neck. Fell asleep with the baby. Dummy.
Great job, Adam 12, as
Thank you.
always. Love
Thank
you, buddy.
Always a pleasure. Thanks,
Well
Hardy.
done, Tiger.
Now I'm trying to find that Lance Parrish poster. I want to buy a copy of it.
It's glorious.
Took me 55 years, but my useless knowledge finally came into play.
There you
really
go.
good.
Well
Good
done.
stuff.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks,
I
Ryan.
get nothing out of that, but I'm in.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks again, Hardy.
The world famous, so famous it's infamous email segment happens next here on Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Go get him.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hey, it's Toucher and Hardy. That's what Fred would do. We're doing the email bit. Let's do the email bit. By the way, Nick Gemelli here this week, along with Dan O'Brien, but Mike Lockhart out, John Wallach out, Fred Toucher out. So Paul Perillo is here. Paul, if you've received any critical emails, we prefer those. If you have any positive emails, those are okay too. Ryan, you know the drill by now, but we're often running on our world famous email segment. Good morning, gents. This is from Joe. I'm curious to know yours, Paul's, and the great RJ's thoughts on the Celtics and Bruins in the playoffs. I think the Bruins get to the second round. I think the Celtics ultimately just don't win again this year. More importantly, if the Celtics don't, is Joe Mazzulla out? Be well, Joe. So, I think the Bruins need to win a playoff round, and that will probably suffice.
If the Bruins win one playoff round, they will win two playoff rounds at least.
Why is that?
Because the monkey will be off the
back. Because they will.
Yeah, just because.
Yeah, it has been said.
Like it's because of momentum, because of who they would likely play in the second round. I believe in them against most of the Eastern Conference. I really do.
Okay, all right. I mean, it's not terrible, but just in terms of how they're going to be perceived and what their seasons are going to be thought of.
Yeah,
they got to win one.
Yeah.
What do the Celtics have to do?
They've got to at least make the finals.
They
if not win it
at
all.
Least.
I mean, you're the favorite to win it all. I mean, there's really nothing but disappointment waiting out there.
I don't. That might sound harsh, but I agree with RJ. Like, I think they need to win it all.
So, based on what's happening in the East right now, which apparently Giannis, after he had his non-contact thing happen, Achilles, something with the paw, the foot.
The hoof. The hoof. It's a sin, Ma.
Yeah, it's a sin. You can't leave it in there. I'll bring it back. So he's
doubtful for game one, it sounds like, at bare minimum.
And I said this at the time. I said, okay, so maybe for the first round. No. He'll be back. He might, he'll miss the regular season, but he'll be back for...
Who said that?
Right away, mostly Milwaukee people.
Oh, okay.
I think
they tried to downplay it.
Right. So... I don't know how much you're going to have to worry about Milwaukee. I don't know how much you worry about them in the first place. And I am fully on board by saying Celtics need to make the NBA Finals just as a baseline expectation.
They should get out of the East. They won by, 14 games?
Yes.
I mean, if they don't get out of the East, I think Mazzulla would be in trouble. If they get to the finals,
and that's
if they got to the finals and lose, then maybe not.
The more interesting point, what's it going to take for Joe Mazzulla to be in trouble? Not making the Eastern Conference Finals, yes, he's in trouble.
I think if you lose the Eastern Conference Finals, I think you have to strongly consider a change. I really do.
Especially you have to see how it plays out. Like, I know people don't want to hear this, but if there's some way that like Miami ends up there and they get out coached again and like Spoelstra just like run circles around, you got to do something.
Watch go back and watch Game 7 at the Garden last year.
Well, the whole series, people just talk about Game 7. Miami won the first 3 games of the series.
Yeah, bad enough.
With a team that was grossly inferior.
But everything that should be attributed to, and you could also project out, having to do with coaching, winning the next games, taking the momentum, winning Game 6 on the road, coming back and winning at the Garden in Game 7. Had that happen, you would have said great coaching. And it finally got him over. Instilled in them the belief and the game plan, all that stuff, and instead just everyone went out and laid an egg. Do you have any emails, Ryan? Because I have one more.
I do not have a public email address. So no.
Paul, you good?
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, I can share with you. I can share with you like some.
There's no way.
No. I got something I want to do anyway because I believe this did come originally in email form, and this happened a few days ago. I missed it when it was in one of our shared content folders. There's a lot of stuff going on with this show. A lot of different places people are planning and talking about things. Fred likes his cozy calendar. The rest of us, like this platform that we use, like Slack. Dan O'Brien is more of a handwritten note type of guy. He's old school.
Very traditional.
Telegrams, emails, things like that.
I love phone calls.
Good for you, Dan.
Morse code.
Calls. I just cut ties with you, but other than that, I was with you.
Thank you, Paul.
But this was shared by Nick Gemelli, which I can only assume came in email form. And I want to play it for the first time so we can get through it without Wallach here. But it is a listener-submitted song in which you will very, very immediately recognize as being a song about John Wallach. I might ask you to stop it here and there, Dan, just so you know. Okay? Thank you.
Up in the sky, who could it be? It's Wallach. A bird flying so free, his wings spread wide, a breathtaking sight, embracing the heavens with all his might.
Wallach's a bird. In case you didn't get what was going on.
I'm going to stop it, too, because this is brilliant.
It's brilliant. And in case you can figure out from the squawk lyric, which begins this song, I believe at one point he does say, Wallach's a bird. So there's not a lot of nuance in poetry. He's getting right into it. He is putting it right out there in front of you. Go ahead. Stop. He flew to Seattle. He's got the cap to prove it. Walt Dick, where you at? Which, of course, is a Merriweather call.
We've got ourselves a P1 here.
Yeah, this is fantastic. John Wallach is a bird in a Seattle hat.
Yeah, here comes the guitar solo breakdown.
I mean, it's a couple minutes long.
Well, you know what it is? It's like, those old school TV themes that kind of told you the whole premise of the show. Right. Like the Brady Bunch theme kind of tells you the whole premise of the show in in like a 45-second package. That's kind of like the Wallach theme song.
Yeah.
It's not wrong.
Do we know who sent this, Nick? I mean, the gentleman deserves recognition. The production quality on it is like 80s era outfield play deep. Echoes. Crunchy guitar.
John Wallach is a bird in a Seattle hat.
That's how it ends. Thank you once again. So I look forward to Wallach being back next week, if for no other reason, so we can play this song for him and get his. And I'm pretty sure that Wallach is not the type to listen to the show while on vacation, which no one should ever do. And I trust that he doesn't do that either.
Nicholas is saying, listener by the name of Dan Conlin.
Excellent.
Conlin.
Thank you, Dan. All right. We'll get to the stack. Everything else we didn't get to today. After this on Toucher and Hardy.
Sports Hub. list from the show. It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
Toucher and Hardy, Fred out, Wallach out, Paul Perillo is here along with Ryan Johnston. One more email to get to before we get to the stack. Good morning. I missed the beginning of the show because I woke up late without the sound of a bird screeching through my radio. But Paul, I'd like to know how Right. I'd like to know how refreshing it's been for you this morning, spending it with this crew instead of those miserable windbags in the They Are Like Statler and Waldorf Without the Fuzzy Singers afternoon show. That is from Matt. I believe, Paul, contrary to what most people would believe, you actually enjoy your time on Felger and Maz.
I do very much. I liked all the shows. I'm willing to work for any of your shows, Hardy. Absolutely. I like the morning. I'll be on the midday tomorrow with Beetle, and certainly like my Sunshine.com stints as well.
The thing with Felger and Maz is you're coming in to work.
You know what
you're going to be peppered with questions. You know you're going to be challenged on anything you say. And
I know they don't like to be challenged back.
That's not their favorite thing. No. So, but yeah, I think each show has its own vibe.
Yeah.
And you fit in well with all of them. So
I try.
All right. Thank you for that, Paul. All right. Here's something else you may not know about Paul Perillo. And I told someone this the other day when we were talking about Donna Summer.
Oh.
I said there is no bigger Donna Summer fan maybe in the world than Paul Perillo. And that's where his musical fandom pretty much begins and ends. I'll give some credit to Earth, Wind, and Fire, who you also enjoy.
Love the Commodores as well.
Okay, but Donna Summer, it kind of begins and ends there.
I love Donna Summer.
You love Donna Summer.
Correct.
So I don't know that you'll be as interested in what happened at Coachella because, spoiler alert, Donna Summer was not there. No.
She wasn't down for breakfast either.
For a variety of reasons.
Now you say you chuckle when you say that, but didn't Tupac perform at Coachella a few years back?
Oh,
wow. Good call. Good call. So it could have been. No. Instead, the band Blur played at Coachella. Now, you know Blur from their song 2, the one that goes woohoo, ding, 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 ding.
Oh, okay.
Woo-hoo.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Everybody knows Blur from Song 2.
All right.
I'm getting the nod from Beatles, so yeah.
Okay. So you know Blur's song 2. Well, Blur played Coachella, and
did they play Song 2 like 7 times?
No, Blur is like one of these bands that they have a rabid following, especially their frontman, who's also in Gorillaz. That you would probably know a Gorillaz song or two, Damon Albarn. But Coachella is really more of a scene, a place to be seen at the scene, and
Travis and Taylor were there.
Yeah, well, Blur is kind of like a musicians almost and a real music fans type of band, I would say, more so than a festival band. So when they performed, it didn't go great. So in case you couldn't hear it, he's trying to get the crowd to do the No one's paying attention. No one's singing back. He said, you might as well do it because you're never going to effing see us again. I think David Albarn was maybe ready to give up on live performing entirely, but certainly no chance he would ever go back to Coachella. Song 2 was met with a huge reaction from the crowd, according to reports, but several attempts to get the crowd to sing along with him on Girls and Boys was met with silence. You know who we should book for the 7:30 Saturday slot here at Coachella? One critic wrote sarcastically on Twitter, Blur, whose entire discography combined has sold slightly less in the U.S. than Limp Bizkit's Chocolate Starfish and the hot dog flavored water did in its first 7 days. So, Blur did not have a good Coachella. And I just have to ask, have either one of you attended a large music festival before? Lollapalooza, Coachella, anything of the like?
You know the answer for me. No.
RJ, you must have.
I never did.
You've never been
I never did. You know what? I've been.
What about the hat show? What about Earth Day?
No. I drove by it a couple of times and got stuck in the traffic
It's free.
on Sturo trying to get to. I remember there was Flynn and I were doing a remote one Saturday or Sunday at like the old Ace Ticket Studios down by Fenway, and we were both almost late because we got stuck in the Earth Festival traffic or whatever it was. But no, that was about as close as I've come. Never wanted to go to a festival because I probably would enjoy a couple of the bands, but like the rest of the time, I'm just kind of like, what are we doing here?
Yes, Dan?
I've been to many of them.
Yes.
New Orleans, Jazz Fest in New Orleans and Beale Street. I've been down to when they did it in Atlanta. They used to have Music Midtown. But back to the Blur thing and how he was so angry at the crowd. This is their first North American show in 9 years.
Yeah,
for the band, right?
It was billed as an event. Blur
Exactly.
finally
Okay.
playing stateside again.
You know what the most ironic part of this is, and you guys might find this funny, is that he says that to the crowd, you'll never effing see us again. Guess who's scheduled to perform again at Coachella this weekend? Blur.
Is supposed to be back this weekend?
They are headlining, I think it's Friday night of Coachella weekend number 2 this weekend.
They're not going to play. I mean, they're going to give up a ton of money, but I don't think they care. I mean,
the lead singer said the people there are, quote unquote, on their own sort of planet. Yes, because it's all about them.
Yeah, and it's about being there more so than like actually being there for the music or anything like that.
Is it about angst, Hardy? Does it pass your angst test?
Okay, so I once very famously said in front of too many people that when these
Just
idiots on the Patriots.com, it was probably, you know what? It was Andy Hart, the biggest idiot of them all, who was professing his love for some awful new country crap. And I said, there's just, there's really no poetry to it other than the rhyming. There's no actual emotion. There's no angst. It just doesn't have enough for me. He goes, oh, you need angst. You need to be a tortured artist. And I'm like, yeah, most good art does not come from a place of happiness. Why do you think that, the great artists and musicians are singing songs that are sad? Love songs are only good when they're sad, sad love songs. I'm so in love. That's a great song. No, I miss her. I need her. I want her. That's a great song. So anybody who's like just too happy about things probably isn't writing a good song or painting a good picture.
Right.
This just doesn't work that way. Thank you.
But why can't it be a good song?
Because it's not.
Okay.
I don't know.
That same level of emotion into it.
If this were if this were a Patriots pregame
if Alanis
show,
Morissette never broke up with Cooley, we probably
wouldn't
know
get.
who she
You ought to
is.
know. You know what we ended up getting after she did start dating again, and you started hearing all these. You got the song "Thank You, Thank You, Providence, Thank You," schlock, terrible, awful. And I'm not a big fan of Jagged Little Pill, but I can understand why it was so huge at the time. Name a happy song that's a good song. Give me a happy song that's a good song.
Let's Groove. It's a great song. How many times do I have to give you this example for the number one song of all time?
I mean, REM's best song was "Shiny Happy People."
Okay, now you're just trying to get
not a
my
good
goat.
song.
Now you're trying to.
What are you talking about? Not a good song. I had the lady from the B-52s and everything.
Yeah. Even REM doesn't like that song. I believe they've apologized for it on numerous occasions. Can we hear a little bit of "Let's Groove" tonight? Of you? Oh, that's a knee slapper.
Cure
Just like heaven.
But the Cure is.
I've been
like
staring so
angst.
long at these pictures of you that I almost
There's
burst
angst
out.
there, but those are not necessarily downer songs.
Doesn't it? But they were like one
Friday,
giant
I'm in
ball
love.
of angst.
There's a great meme going around of Robert Smith, who still wears the makeup and wears the hair the same way, but looks a little different now when he does it. And the meme says,
Now he looks like your grandmother.
Right, and there's a picture of him on stage, done up in his makeup and hair everywhere, and he's all sweaty, and the shirt's hanging off of him. And I believe someone says, "My wife when she comes home after day drinking with the girls," and that's exactly what it looks like. So Robert Smith,
Okay,
Robert Smith,
We'll move along then.
angst-ridden.
No. I get it, but there's you said like the love songs. There's no good love songs that are happy love songs.
Not many.
Yeah, I agree. There's more like heartbroken
Yes,
love songs.
90-10 split.
Unbreak My Heart. It's a sad song. Tony
Yeah,
Braxton.
right. Christmas shoes, horribly sad.
All right,
and a great song.
That's great. Great song. That's a great song to sit in your garage with the car running.
And on that note,
that's a depressing song.
Well, it's been anything but depressing having you here today.
Well,
Paul
thank you
Barolo.
for that segue. That was wonderful.
Here's something to make Paul feel better as he leaves. Not only is today Bill Belichick's birthday.
Oh,
the Patriots have wished him happy birthday on their social media. Today is also the 24th anniversary of the drafting of the greatest quarterback of all time.
Was today they drafted Drew Bledsoe?
They drafted Patrick Mahomes today?
Thomas Edward Brady.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, happy Brady Day. Good luck to Bill working on that book while he's not standing on the sidelines at some D3 lacrosse practice or trying to overshadow his son as he's trying to get control of his guys out in Washington. Bill's very busy writing that book.
Yeah.
Can't wait to read it.
Leadership, right?
Yes.
It's a leadership book.
Thanks, Paul.
I enjoyed it.
Zoe and Beetle up next.